In the darkness of the desolate black lands, the sound of a pickaxe echoes. There, a white-haired, pale-skinned young man named K, and uncolored, is mining alone. With all his strength, he strikes the cave wall again and again. Sweat drips down his forehead, but suddenly, droplets of an intense blue color begin to seep from the dark rock. K's eyes widen, filled with joy and relief. "I found it," he exclaims. He quickly collects the precious liquid into a bottle. It is ink, a vital resource that could change his destiny. Beside him, a small black cat-like creature named Nero meows. "Nero, thank you. Thanks to you, I found it," K says gratefully. As he heads toward the cave's exit with Nero on his shoulder, K clings to a new hope. "If I take this back, maybe this time the Pioneer Corps will finally accept me." K finally emerges from the oppressive darkness of the cave into the light. Before him stretches a desolate landscape, but in the distance shines the radiant city, an oasis of color and life amid the emptiness. The scene shifts to the radiant city, where a crowd celebrates enthusiastically amid a shower of confetti. The people cheer for the colorists, the heroes of this world. A group of them parades by, each wrapped in an aura of their signature color, yellow, red, green, blue. The citizens admire them, commenting on their vibrant colors and how they defeated another giant creature. "People like them truly deserve their title," exclaims a man. "As long as the colorists exist, the radiant city, with its rainbow of lights, will always be safe." But in contrast to such brilliance exists the Shadow District, a gray, industrial, lifeless place. There, a crowd of people whose silhouettes are barely discernible line up in front of a severe-looking building. It is the entrance exam for the Rank C Pioneer Corps. A sign makes it clear, anyone with color may apply. A rule that excludes people like K. Suddenly, K is brutally thrown to the ground. They shout at him, "Get lost." Two men, members of the Pioneer Corps, look at him with contempt. "How many times do I have to tell you? This is no place for people like you." K gets up, desperate. "Why not? I even brought ink," he shouts, holding up the bottle he worked so hard to obtain. He raises it as his only proof. "I've proven my qualification with this. So what's the problem?" The red-haired man points at him angrily. "Ugh, do I really have to explain it to you like you're a child?" K's expression freezes at the words that condemn him. "You are uncolored." The man mocks him, explaining that people are born with their roles already decided. He shows images of other uncolored people doing forced labor, the fate supposedly meant for K. "Listen well, damn uncolored." With contained rage, the man's hand ignites, gathering a threatening red energy, ready to be unleashed. The pioneer releases his power, striking K and throwing him backward. As K falls, the man prepares to teach him a lesson about the order of the world. On his knees, K listens to the red-haired pioneer. "Pioneers, you see," the man begins arrogantly. "Only the chosen, like us, can be pioneers," he proclaims, while his two lackeys grin smugly behind him. He explains that the weak cannot survive in the black lands, a place where everything is swallowed by darkness just steps from the city. And within that darkness lurk all kinds of dangerous creatures. Terrifying, monstrous beings of every shape and size, enough to make anyone tremble. The pioneer continues his speech, boasting that they risk their lives to explore the unknown, find resources and treasures for the future of humanity. "One could say we are true heroes," he concludes, as an image shows a colorist being praised for defeating a monster. Therefore, for an uncolored like K, it is absolutely impossible. He orders him that if he is uncolored, he should do uncolored work. So stop showing up here and get lost. After the humiliation, the pioneers turn around and leave, closing the door behind them and leaving K alone on the steps. K remains silent, defeated. From inside his jacket, his small friend Nero pokes his head out, making a worried sound. K tries to comfort him with a forced smile. "It's okay, Nero. There are still many places we can go. Besides, I'm already used to this." But his expression shifts to one of pure determination. "I will definitely become the greatest colorist of all. I promise." Well, go back inside," he whispers to Nero, tucking him back into his jacket. "What if someone sees you?" K walks away, wandering aimlessly through the shadowy streets of the district. "All right then, should we try somewhere else?" As he leaves, he does not notice that one of the pioneers, the green-haired one, is watching him from a window with an unreadable gaze. The man follows him with his eyes, which widen with a strange mix of surprise and interest. K continues his search, moving through the district, consulting his notebook as he looks for a place that will accept him. He crosses out another name in his notebook, which is filled with places that have rejected him. "Not here either, nor here." He sighs, frustrated. "Ugh, another failure today." I guess there's no other choice, he tells himself as he heads toward a small building with a sign that reads, Mari's Workshop. Upon entering, Kei calls out, Mari, I'm back. Inside, a white-haired figure stands with their back turned. The figure turns around, revealing an energetic and cheerful white-haired girl. It's Mari. Kei. Welcome back, she greets him with a big smile. She notices his downcast expression. What's with that face? Did you fail again? Kei nods. Yeah, more or less. Meanwhile, Nero jumps into Mari's arms. Mari gets angry on his behalf. People just don't know how to recognize talent. You're probably stronger than most pioneers. Kei replies resignedly, what can I do if no one accepts uncolored people? But Mari doesn't give up. Even so, you managed to bring things back from the Black Lands. Your skills are more than proven. A memory shows a younger-looking Kei successfully navigating the darkness. Kei admits it humbly, hugging his small companion. It's only possible because Nero helps me. Setting his worries aside, Kei offers the ink. So, can you buy this from me? Mari exclaims delightedly, wow. Thank you. I'll pay you well for it. Mari pours the ink into her machinery, relieved. Phew, seriously, I was running out of ink lately, it's been tough. Kei adds that because of this, and the rising prices, people are asking to increase the number of pioneers. After all, everyone's livelihood depends on ink, the fuel that powers the district. Kei laments, I'm willing to work hard at anything, but no core will accept me. Mari then asks him, Kei, have you thought about what I told you before? Kei hesitates. I don't know. That place seems a bit. Mari interrupts him, exasperated. What are you talking about? Suddenly, she slams a flyer onto the table. You have to try everything. It's an advertisement for recruitment into the Dawn Pioneer Corps, rank S. And most importantly, selection is based on skill. You never know the outcome, this could be your chance. Mari encourages him. Kei grows pensive. Rank S Corps. He always assumed he would fail, so he hesitated to apply. But now he wonders, could my skills really be recognized there? Mari insists. Kei, it's a great opportunity. Try it. They say it's skill-based, maybe they'll finally acknowledge you. With a knowing look, she reminds him of his true dream. You want to be a colorist, right? A fleeting memory travels back to his childhood. Mari reminds him that he's been saying that since they were kids, as an image shows a small Kei alone in the rain, hugging a tiny Nero. Mari's words from back then echo in his mind, will always support you, no matter what. A determined smile spreads across Kei's face. Yes. I can't afford to hesitate anymore. With renewed determination, he takes the Dawn Pioneer Corps flyer. Full of hope, Kei says goodbye to Mari, waving the flyer in his hand. Thank you, Mari. I'll stop by again. Mari wishes him luck as he leaves. Kei walks alone through the streets of the Shadow District, his new goal in mind. There isn't much time left. I'd better prepare properly, he thinks as he reviews the flyer. Suddenly, Nero starts growling from inside his jacket. Kei is surprised. Huh? Nero? His companion seems uneasy, sensing nearby danger. What is it? Kei asks, just as a figure appears in the alley. He holds a staff glowing with a greenish light. It's the green-haired pioneer, waiting for him with a malicious smile. It's an ambush. Without a word, the man launches an attack, an arc of green energy heading straight for Kei. Kei's eyes widen, overcome with panic and surprise. The attack is too fast. He barely manages to turn when the green arc of energy tears into his side, wrenching a scream of pure agony from him. Kei collapses to the ground, gravely wounded. His attackers, the green-haired pioneer and his accomplice, look down at him. Oh, you managed to dodge that, uncolored. How lucky, he mocks. It doesn't matter, you'll die soon anyway. No one cares if an uncolored dies, says the green-haired man. On the ground, Kei can only watch as his little friend Nero cries desperately for him. With his last strength, Kei whispers his companion's name. Nah. Nero, his only thought is for Nero. With a final effort, he orders him, run. In the dark alley, a sign warns of danger, ink waste disposal site. Unauthorized personnel prohibited. Kei regains consciousness, dazed and unaware of where he is. Ugh, what? A mocking voice replies. It's the green-haired pioneer. Oh, you're awake. Kei finds himself at the edge of a massive pit filled with a black, viscous liquid. His captor holds him by the neck. Bad luck for you, we'll throw you in there alive. The man explains that when all kinds of ink mix, they create ink waste. It is a substance lethal to humans. If you fall in, not even your body will remain. Perfect for getting rid of corpses, right? He says with a grin. Horrified, Kay asks who they are and why they attacked him. The pioneer smiles maliciously, enjoying Kay's despair. Heh, we were surprised too, you know, he says, recalling how he had been spying on Kay before. I didn't expect to find such a treasure in the Shadow District, he reveals. The treasure he speaks of is Nero. A creature intelligent enough to follow a human. At that moment, his accomplice appears holding a cage with Nero inside. That's a real rarity, the leader adds. Kay screams with all his strength at the sight of his only friend, his family, trapped and crying. Nero, rage gives him strength as he grabs the pioneer. Let him go, bastard. The man laughs. Oh, how scary. An uncolored shouting isn't scary, it's pathetic. The pioneer's eyes gleam with greed as he explains his plan. That creature could fetch an enormous price on the black market. He grips Kay tighter. In any case, it's far too good for an uncolored like you to have. Kay can barely breathe. Kay's mind races. He curses his carelessness. He has always endured discrimination and insults, like when he was a child and everyone left him alone. But to lose Nero, my only family, over something like this? Kay squeezes his captor's wrist with surprising strength. His face contorts into a mask of pure fury. Don't toy with me. The pioneer is startled by the sudden grip. A strange dark energy begins to emanate from Kay's hand. The man's face twists in shock and an unknown pain. What? It feels like something is being sucked out. Before him, Kay's silhouette has turned completely black, with glowing eyes, as he absorbs his energy. Disgusted by the sensation, the pioneer violently shoves him. Damn it! What a disgusting feeling. And he throws Kay into the abyss of ink waste. Kay's body disappears into the black liquid. That's it, what a waste of time, the leader says indifferently. All clean. Below, only Nero's heartbroken cries can be heard. His accomplice laughs excitedly. Ha, now we're rich. Let's hurry to the black market. As they prepare to leave, Nero's crying is all that remains of Kay. As he sinks into infinite darkness, Kay's silhouette falls. His last conscious thought is for his friend, I have to save Nero. But his body does not respond, he is completely paralyzed as he plummets into nothingness. Memories of Nero and Mari's smile pass through his mind. Am I really going to end like this? He wonders, resigned. He remembers his lonely childhood, hugging Nero as his only comfort. But a spark of rebellion ignites. No. I still have that promise, he thinks, clinging to his dream of becoming a colorist. Suddenly, a voice echoes in the darkness, calling his name. Kay, the voice questions him. Why are you standing there? Why aren't you doing anything? Bewildered, Kay can only ask, who are you? A torrent of words floods his mind, a powerful and ancient command, accept it. Save Nero. Do not hesitate. I have waited so long. Accept your true color. At last. I am satisfied. Kay's face has become a shadow, his eyes glowing with an inner light. And the voice gives its final command, right now, your color. Reclaim it. In the ink waste pit, something begins to stir. A hand emerges, and darkness swirls around it as if it were alive. The entire ocean of ink is absorbed, drawn toward a single point, leaving a white void in its wake. Kay stands in a white space. He looks at his hands, now wrapped in tendrils of darkness. What is this? His mind is blank. What's happening? I was inside the ink. Huh. After that. I don't remember. But something more important occupies his thoughts. His face, now a dark silhouette with bright white eyes, asks, who am I? Nero's faint crying reaches him, breaking the silence. Kyung. He looks up and sees the silhouettes of his attackers standing at the edge of the pit. And then, he remembers everything. Nero, you're there. That's right, Suddenly, a violent vortex of black ink erupts from the waste pit, absorbing everything and rising toward the sky before the astonished eyes of the two pioneers who had thrown Kay in. The green-haired pioneer and his blue-haired companion cannot believe what they are seeing. Their faces contort in sheer panic and confusion as they wonder what kind of monstrosity they have unleashed. In an instant, all the ink vanishes completely. The massive pit is left empty, and at the bottom, alone, small human silhouette stands motionless at the center. But what emerged was not a simple shadow. It was K, now transformed into an unknown entity, a completely black figure radiating an ominous aura. The green-haired pioneer begins to tremble violently, absolute terror reflected in his bulging eye. No. It was impossible. The situation defied all logic. K's silhouette lunges toward them at incredible speed, his arm extending and transforming into a gigantic, monstrous claw. What was once a helpless boy was now a true creature. The chapter begins with a scene of total devastation in the Shadow District. Buildings lie in ruins, and smoke rises from the debris, signaling that a catastrophic event has just occurred. A witness, an elderly man in a suit, recounts what he saw in panic, his eyes bulging with terror. He shouts that he saw it clearly with his own eyes. As he frantically describes how a small hand suddenly appeared, a site supervisor patiently takes notes, trying to calm the agitated man. The witness's memory visualizes the event, a gigantic, shadowy hand bursting from the ground, destroying everything around it and turning the area into complete ruin. Suddenly, the supervisor's attention is drawn to a passing stretcher. Lying on it is a completely gray, colorless victim, while the witness shouts in concern about how they are transporting him. Two figures watch as the victim is carried away. They are a red-haired man and a blue-haired woman. Someone comments that, fortunately, only 2 people were affected, and that they were rank B pioneers with a bad reputation. The blue-haired woman, analytical-looking and wearing glasses, voices her confusion, wondering what could have caused the victims to lose all their color. The red-haired man tells her that, although it is important, they must set it aside for now. With a serious expression, the red-haired man reaffirms their purpose. They came to investigate the giant creature that appeared in the city. The supervisor turns around and freezes in shock upon recognizing the newcomers, stuttering in surprise, "See colorists." The supervisor hurriedly introduces himself, feeling honored by their presence. The red-haired man brushes it off, saying he was only asked to investigate the creature. The red-haired pioneer asks the supervisor to show them the site, and the supervisor, nervous yet eager to please, immediately agrees and leads the way. The 2 colorists, silhouetted in red and blue, walk through the vast rubble of the destroyed district, assessing the scale of the damage. The red-haired man crouches and inspects the ground, noticing something on his finger. He confirms that there are indeed traces of the creature. His partner, the blue-haired woman, reports that they have tracked all reported locations of large creatures up until recently, but for one to suddenly appear inside the city, even on the outskirts, is strange. She continues, explaining that the creatures normally seen in the city are small, like rats and insects. Small, harmless species, like birds. Standing at the center of a crater, the blue-haired woman wonders if this might be a new variant. The red-haired man advises her not to jump to conclusions yet. With an intense, focused gaze, the red-haired man considers the most important problem: how they are going to track this new creature. Surveying the massive destruction before them, he admits that the situation is troublesome. The scene shifts to total darkness. Faint screeches are heard, followed by a groan of pain, revealing that someone is injured in the dark. In the gloom, a small black cat-like creature licks the face of the injured man. With his eyes closed, he barely manages to whisper a name, and Nero. K snaps his eyes open, filled with relief at seeing his companion Nero safe and sound. He hugs him tightly, but a surge of pain interrupts his relief. As pain courses through his body, K wonders what happened. His expression hardens with anger as he recalls the cause of his situation, thinking, this must be because of those bastards. Fragmented memories of the attack flash through his mind, the brutal beating, his desperate fall into a mass of black ink, and finally, a shadowy, clawed hand emerging from the depths to grab him. With a strangled gasp, K's eyes widen, reflecting pure terror and a dreadful realization. The memory of that clawed hand, his own hand, begins to settle in his mind. Staring at his bandaged hands, K's dreadful realization turns into an incredulous question. He wonders if what he remembered, the ink and the clawed hand, really happened to him. Still in shock, he touches his head, trying to process the transformation hinted at by his memories. A sound, "Sake," escapes his lips, an expression of disbelief. His eyes, wide with panic, fill with dread as he faces the terrifying possibility. How is this possible, he wonders. Suddenly, he becomes aware of his surroundings. He is in complete, absolute darkness. "Why is it so dark here?" he shouts. "I can't see anything." Panicking in the darkness, K desperately cries out for his friend. "Nero! Help me!" In response, Nero's silhouette appears, shining brightly. Nero transforms into a spinning orb of light, preparing to illuminate the surroundings. Nero's light bursts outward, creating a brilliant flash that pierces the darkness. The light reveals a nightmare scene. Kei and Nero are in a dark, twisted forest, surrounded by countless shadowy creatures with glowing, malevolent eyes. Kei looks around, his face pale with terror as he recognizes the nightmarish landscape. "This place," he exclaims. His worst fear is confirmed when he sees a desolate camp in the distance beneath a dark, ominous sky. "Are these the Black Lands?" he shouts, realizing the terrible situation they are in. To make matters worse, he recognizes the distant view of the city from where he stands. He is in the Black Forest area, a dangerous zone accessible only to rank B pioneers and above. Before he can fully process the danger, the shadowy creatures begin moving toward them, their eyes glowing in the darkness. "Ugh! They're already swarming!" Kei shouts. Without losing a second, Kei turns and runs, shouting, "Nero! Let's get out of here!" He dashes toward a passage lit by Nero's light. Nero shines brightly, letting out a battle cry as he prepares to protect Kei from the approaching creatures. As they flee, two serpent-like creatures lunge at Kei. Nero releases a wave of energy that disintegrates them just in time. "Careful! This is dangerous!" Kei shouts, thanking Nero for saving him. Kei runs desperately, with Nero lighting the path just ahead of him, while the shadowy creatures pursue them closely. Nero guides Kei across treacherous, rocky terrain, scaling cliffs to escape the sharp-toothed monstrosities chasing them from below. As they sprint through a dark canyon, Nero becomes a beam of light, guiding Kei through the darkness at high speed. While running, a strange sensation spreads through Kei's body. What? This feeling, he wonders, surprise written across his face. A surge of energy bursts from his chest. Despite the danger and exertion, Kei realizes, my body feels incredible. As he charges forward at full speed, leaving trails along the ground, he notices that despite running for so long, he is not tired at all. With this newfound vitality, he effortlessly leaps between the canyon walls. "I can move faster and more agilely than ever," he thinks in amazement. He lands with steam rising from his feet, feeling incredible strength. "My whole body is overflowing with energy," he exclaims. Nero, who is flying ahead, stops and looks back, startled by Kei's sudden increase in speed and power. Suddenly, a massive shadowy wolf-like creature appears in front of them, jaws open to attack. Nero shrieks a warning as Kei comes to a dead stop, shocked. Caught by the wolf creature's charge, Kei loses his balance and panics. "Ah, no! My stance," he cries, knowing he is completely exposed. Clenching his eyes shut, Kei braces for the inevitable as absolute terror grips him. Damn it! I'm going to die," he thinks, accepting his fate. However, instead of a fatal impact, the creature's head seems to pass through him or miss somehow, shattering into pieces on contact. The wolf creature's head completely disintegrates, leaving only a trail of dark particles. Kei's eyes fly open in total disbelief. He is alive and unharmed, utterly confused by what just happened. The headless wolf creature dissolves into nothingness. Kei is left alone, with Nero floating nearby, in stunned silence. Kei looks at his arm and chest, still processing his incredible survival. "I'm fine," he whispers, half statement, half question. With trembling hands, he realizes the magnitude of what happened. "I thought I'd taken a fatal hit," he says, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. A sudden, powerful realization strikes him. With a new intensity in his eyes, he declares, "This is the power of color." As Kei absorbs his new ability, Nero suddenly cries out a warning, sensing an approaching danger. Ahead of them, in a clearing, a new threat emerges. The silhouette of a huge, muscular, horned creature looms over them. The creature fully reveals itself, a towering, one-eyed, horned monster, a cyclops, staring down at Kei from an upper ledge. Kei looks up, his face filled with dread and shock as he recognizes the beast. "See Cyclopes," he shouts. The cyclops roars, its single eye blazing with fury. Terrified, Kei wonders, why is a predator that appears in the Black Forest here? The beast slams the ground with immense force, causing it to explode and hurl Kei into the air. Nero can only watch in horror, crying out as Kei is helplessly thrown by the cyclops' attack. Kei crashes hard among shattered vegetation and debris, clearly overmatched. Nero floats over him, calling out in concern. Lying on the ground, Kei reluctantly admits that the situation is dire. Yet despite the danger, a strange new determination begins to rise within him. With a defiant, resolute smile on his face, a bold thought crosses Kei's mind. "But somehow, I feel like I can win." Memories of a lifetime of suffering flood him, being called colorless and rejected as a child, and being brutally beaten by rank C pioneers. He recalls how long he yearned to have a color of his own. With the memory of his attacker's smug smiles in his mind, a steely resolve takes hold of K. Things will be different from now on, he declares. He clenches his fist as a dark aura begins to swirl around him. I don't need to run anymore, he decides, ready to face his enemy head-on. K focuses, recalling the sensation from when he fell into the ink. He remembers how his attackers watched him, how his hand reached out, and how he was consumed by darkness. He accepts that sensation, allowing the dark energy to surge from him and swirl around his body. Raw power gathers, ready to be unleashed. K's transformation is complete. His body becomes a silhouette of pure dark energy, and his eyes shine with an intense white light as he awaits the Cyclops' imminent attack. The Cyclops roars and charges, its massive hand extended to crush K. But K, now a silhouette of dark power, stands firm, unmoving. The Cyclops attacks, but K counterattacks at blinding speed. He throws a punch, his dark fist colliding with the beast, creating a devastating shockwave that shatters the ground. In an incredible display of power, K, in his shadow form, unleashes a single, devastating punch. The punch pierces straight through the Cyclops. The impact is so immense that K's dark energy explodes outward, enveloping and disintegrating the massive creature. The resulting explosion devastates a massive stretch of forest, uprooting trees and carving a path of destruction. After the explosion, K hangs suspended in the air, surrounded by the shattered remains of the Cyclops. The battle is over in an instant. From above, K's dark silhouette looks down, observing the outcome of his overwhelming power. His eyes, 2 points of bright white light, narrow as he examines the devastation he has caused. As he floats, something miraculous happens. The monochrome, lifeless landscape of the black lands around him begins to change. K watches in awe. Color returns to the world. The forest canopy, once gray, is now a vibrant green, bathed in sunlight and gentle rain. K whispers, "This is." The landscape transforms into an idyllic scene, with a waterfall flowing with brilliant blue water. Faced with this impossible sight, K wonders, color. But the miracle comes at a price. The dark energy that gave him power violently peels away from his body. His hair turns white again as he screams in shock and confusion. With panic-filled eyes, K can only stammer an incredulous, "What?" as the power leaves him. He looks down at the forest floor, which has returned to its gray, lifeless state. The empty crater where the Cyclops stood is the only proof of the battle. "Yuwa," he screams as he falls. K plummets from the sky as his power completely fades. He crashes into a crater, exhausted and drained. Nero rushes to him, calling out in concern as K can barely remain conscious. The dark aura peels away from him, dissipating into the air. K looks at his body in despair. My color," he laments as he feels his power vanish. Panic grips him as he realizes the terrible truth. "The more I use my power, the more it drains," he thinks. No. At this rate, realizing he will be left defenseless. In his moment of desperation, a sinister, disembodied voice echoes in the darkness, asking, "What are you doing? The prey is right in front of you. Eat it quickly. The killer before your eyes." K looks up toward the abyss where he defeated the Cyclops, the voice's tempting offer echoing in his mind. The voice continues its malevolent persuasion. "You don't want to die, do you?" it asks. "It's simple. Reach out your hand." K, sweating and breathing heavily, is clearly exhausted and on the verge of collapse. The voice repeats its command. "Your hand." With eyes wide from desperation and temptation, K makes a decision. Slowly, he extends his trembling hand, fingers outstretched, toward the remains of the Cyclops. With a somber, resigned expression, K places his hand on the Cyclops' dark corpse, preparing to do the unthinkable to survive. The moment his hand makes contact, a massive surge of dark energy erupts from the Cyclops' corpse and is absorbed into K's body. It is a violent, overwhelming torrent of power. Nero watches, eyes wide with shock and confusion, as K consumes the creature's essence. A bead of sweat rolls down his face, showing his unease at the monstrous act. The Cyclops' final dark energy is torn from the air and absorbed in a flash of light, completing the transfer of power. K gasps as the absorption process finally ends. He is exhausted, but the dark power that had been leaving him is now restored. Sitting among the rubble, his hair now black from the restored power, K looks up at the dark sky with a mix of exhaustion and relief. "Phew. I'm going to survive," he whispers, having overcome the terrible ordeal. The scene begins in Mari's workshop, a place that seems to serve as both a shop and a home. Inside, Mari is focused on working on a design when the sound of the doorbell startles her. A mysterious figure, completely covered in a tattered robe, appears at the entrance, greeting her. Mari regains her composure, greets the visitor, and kindly asks what brings them here. The hooded figure remains silent, and Mari asks if they have any special request, sensing that this is not an ordinary customer. Without a word, the hooded figure begins walking toward her, creating an atmosphere of tension. Mari grows nervous at the silence and the suspicious appearance of the individual, who keeps approaching. Frightened, Mari grabs a wrench to defend herself and shouts at the stranger to stop or he will regret it. The figure makes a sudden movement, causing Mari to scream in panic, expecting the worst. The stranger removes his hood, revealing his identity. It is a black-haired young man who calmly asks her to relax. It is revealed to be Kei, who tells Mari it is him, trying to ease her fear. Mari is completely bewildered, unable to recognize Kei at first because of his drastic change in appearance. When she realizes it is Kei, her expression shifts to total astonishment. Shocked, Mari asks what happened to him, pointing at his new and startling appearance. After the initial scare, Mari trembles with rage, not at Kei, but at what was done to him. Filled with anger, she brandishes a hammer and a wrench, shouting that she will never forgive the scum who hurt Kei. Kei tries to calm her, together with a small black cat-like creature, telling her that he has already taken revenge. Mari drops the tool, admitting she lost her composure. She was worried because she had lost contact with him. Mari expresses her relief at seeing him safe. Kei apologizes for worrying her and tells her how incredible it is that he survived the fall into the ink waste and gained color. Mari worries that black, the color of the creatures, will make people view him negatively. But Kei remains optimistic, saying that what matters is that he now has a chance to become a colorist. Determined, Kei announces that he is heading to the entrance exam of the Pioneer Corps. He thanks Mari for making sure he returned in time. Then he asks Mari if she can lend him some clothes or equipment, promising to return them. Mari reacts with annoyance. Although she complains that this is not the first time, her expression changes. She smiles and tells him to consider it an investment in a future colorist. With resolve, Mari takes him by the hand and tells him to follow her, ready to help him. With an enthusiastic smile, she leads him deeper into the workshop, assuring him that she has the perfect equipment to prepare him for the exam. Wearing his new clothes, Kei listens as Mari assures him they fit perfectly. The small black creature remains on his shoulder. The scene shifts to a massive coliseum, where a crowd of applicants climbs the stairs for the entrance exam. Inside the stadium, hundreds of candidates gather in the arena, creating an atmosphere of intense anticipation and competition. Among the crowd, several candidates comment on how stressful the situation is because of the sheer number of people. One advises his companion not to panic and to stay alert. Another group of applicants talks about the importance of the event, amazed that they have come this far. Joining the Dawn Pioneer Corps is the dream of every pioneer. It is mentioned that this rank S Corps, with its many skilled colorists, is the greatest hope of the Radiant City due to its achievements exploring the Black Lands. However, the biggest problem is the enormous number of strong candidates gathered for the test, which increases the pressure. Among the most notable candidates are the second daughter of a traditional color family and a famous bounty hunter. There are also other well-known pioneers who have recently gained fame, demonstrating the high level of competition. Despite all the talent gathered, the conversation shifts to the one person who stands out the most. That person is Gale, nicknamed Gale Sword. It is taken for granted that he will pass the exam without any trouble. Rumors say Gale is so strong that he can face rampaging creatures alone, proving his immense power. However, his reputation is tainted by his cruel and violent nature, which often gets him into trouble. In fact, it is said that he was expelled from his previous Pioneer Corps, yet he still shows up here as if nothing happened. One of the candidates mocks his companions for being scared, boasting that someone like Gale is nothing to him. His friends tell him he is exaggerating and dare him to say it to Gale's face, who has been listening to the conversation. Gale, with a look of disdain, mutters that they are ridiculous brats, disappointed by the level of the applicants. From his perspective, Gale scans the crowd and dismisses everyone, concluding that not a single candidate stands out. However, he pauses and focuses his attention on someone in the crowd. His eyes lock onto a light blue-haired girl, recognizing her immediately. Gale identifies her as Ellie Cyan, the second daughter of the prestigious Cyan family. With a sly smile, he admits to himself that, just as the rumors said, she is decent enough to catch his attention. He watches her with interest, wondering how everyone will react to what is about to happen. Suddenly, the voice of an examiner booms through a loudspeaker, capturing the attention of all the candidates in the arena. With the announcement of the imminent start of the exam, both Gale and Ellie Cyan prepare themselves, anticipating the trials ahead. The exam will now begin. A yellow-haired man, the examiner, steps before the candidates. The applicants marvel at seeing a colorist from the Dawn Pioneer Corps in person, surrounded by an imposing golden aura. It is said that he made a major contribution in the recent large-scale creature hunt. His presence confirms that this year's recruitment is serious. The overwhelming presence of the colorist impresses the candidates, who immediately feel the difference of a rank S corps. The examiner welcomes everyone present with a serious expression. He begins his speech by thanking everyone for applying to the Dawn Pioneer Corps entrance exam. He acknowledges that each person came with their own goals and missions, whether for money, power, honor, or duty. However, he declares that personal motivations do not matter. In the end, the only thing required is skill, and they are looking only for the most capable to enter the Black Lands and reclaim human territory. He announces that they do not need mediocre people, so the first test will begin without delay. It will be a one-on-one combat tournament. The reason, he explains, is that combat ability is the most important quality for a pioneer, because outside the city it is a world of survival of the fittest, where the weak die. The examiner urges them to demonstrate their skills in the tournament, whose results will determine who passes the first round. Next, the first two fighters are called by number 126, Gale, and number 286. The crowd murmurs in surprise. A heavyweight like Gale is called from the very start. They pity his opponent. Gale smiles maliciously. He was bored and feels lucky to have some fun right from the beginning. With a sinister look, he wonders how he should play with his opponent. Gale steps into the arena, scanning the area for his challenger. His opponent appears, a hooded figure with the number 286. Gale looks at him with disdain, wondering what is wrong with that weird guy. Gale immediately judges his opponent, K, thinking his stance is sloppy and that he looks incredibly weak. Gale decides he does not care and grips the hilt of his sword, ready for action. He draws his sword, saying that since the stage is set, there is no need to hold back anymore. Gale's power erupts, and his sword glows with intense green energy. The spectators instantly recognize his famous Gale sword technique, completely amazed. They admire his skill, commenting that he is a true genius to wield the sword that way at his age, creating multiple energy replicas. With a look of superiority, Gale prepares to attack, taunting K, ready? Try to block this, because if you fail. Gale's threat hangs in the air, but K, unfazed, stomps the ground, bracing himself for the incoming clash. Gale charges forward, shouting that he will tear K apart with a whirlwind of sword energy. K remains unmoved as Gale's attack rushes toward him. At blinding speed, K dodges Gale's sword effortlessly. Instantly, K counterattacks with a single punch that brutally strikes Gale's face, releasing dark energy. The force of the blow is so overwhelming that Gale is sent flying across the entire arena. The candidates watch the scene in disbelief and absolute shock, unable to believe what they just witnessed. Gale slams violently into the stadium wall, which cracks from the impact. The audience wonders if that really was him. Gale lies defeated among the rubble, taken down in a single blow. The crowd cannot comprehend how it was possible. K, his hood fallen to reveal his black hair, looks at his own fist, almost as shocked as everyone else, admitting that the power startled even him. He seems slightly dazed by his own strength, mentioning the sudden acceleration and chaos he felt in that moment. At last, the crowd begins to react. One candidate, horrified, points at the trail of energy and asks if what he saw was black. Panic spreads. Even the examiner is in shock. They realize that black is the same color as that of the creatures. Even Ellie Cyan, who had maintained her composure, looks stunned, wondering if it is possible for a human to possess that color. K stands in the arena, now completely exposed. Everyone realizes that the power of the black color was what defeated the Gale sword genius in a single strike. Confused by the crowd's reaction of fear and awe, K wonders why they are looking at him that way. He thinks to himself, did I make a mistake? In the arena of the Pioneer entrance exam, the crowd roars as they witness a battle unfolding with overwhelming intensity, leaving trails of power in the air. One applicant, terrified, raises his staff in a desperate attempt to defend himself from a massive rock hurtling toward him, shouting for it to stop. But it is useless. With blinding speed, K breaks through his opponent's defenses. The other applicant wonders why his attack did not work. A flash of light and speed cuts across the battlefield, a clear display of K's overwhelming power. K emerges victorious in midair as his opponent crashes to the ground, unable to react to the speed and force of the attack. An announcement declares number 286 the winner. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the arena, another match ends with a decisive blow, highlighting the brutality of the competition. Once again, number 286 is announced as the victor. K shows no mercy, dropping another opponent with a single precise punch to the face. From the stands, a yellow-haired man, Examiner Yellow, watches K standing in the arena, thoughtful and clearly impressed by what he sees. Examiner Yellow remarks to his colleagues that K is a promising young man and the standout of the group. He reveals that K is the first bearer of the color black to appear, and that they must hurry to recruit him. Suddenly, an imposing figure looms over them, interrupting their conversation with a casual greeting, asking if they have had a hard day. The group of examiners turns around, startled and alarmed by the sudden appearance of two unexpected figures. The newcomer is none other than the feared team leader Red, a man with intense red hair and an overwhelming presence, accompanied by a purple-haired woman. Examiner Yellow nervously asks what he is doing there. Team leader Red, with a carefree smile, asks if the exam is going well, though his tone suggests he has other intentions. Red mentions that he has been handling a commissioned request but has made no progress and it has been giving him a headache, recalling a scene of destruction. Changing the subject, Red asks if there are any candidates worth noting. Examiner Yellow, regaining his enthusiasm, assures him that this time he can expect good results. The examiner proudly mentions that they have the young lady of the Cyan family and someone extremely unique. This immediately captures Red's interest. Red's gaze fixes on the arena. Black, he asks, instantly recognizing K's uniqueness. Examiner Yellow confirms it with a smile, knowing Red would notice. They explain to Red that K has even defeated one of the higher-ranked favorites and is showing overwhelming results, practically guaranteeing his admission. Red's companion asks if that boy is the one she thinks he is. Red, with a thoughtful look, replies that he probably is. Red reflects to himself. The appearance of a new color right after that strange incident is far too much of a coincidence. With his interest fully piqued, Red decides that for now he will keep a close eye on K, who remains in the arena, unaware of the attention he has drawn. K clenches his fist, feeling the dark power flowing through him. He thinks about his incredible winning streak and how, with this strength, becoming a pioneer is definitely possible. However, a grim memory strikes him. He remembers losing his color in the past and warns himself that he must be careful not to overuse his power, or he will be finished. Suddenly, as K continues reflecting, an enormous, massive wall of ice crystals materializes in front of him, leaving him completely shocked and on guard. The source of this display of power is revealed, a light blue-haired young woman, the very Ellie Cyan of the Cyan family the examiners were talking about. She is his next opponent. With icy calm, Ellie Cyan is declared the winner as number 17. Behind her, her opponent is completely frozen inside a block of ice, proof of her power. She sheaths her sword indifferently. From among the remaining applicants, K, number 286, watches the scene. He admits that the Cyan family's color is always impressive to witness and that it is the level of skill expected from a lady of a prestigious house. As Ellie Cyan walks away indifferently from her frozen victory, K watches her and wonders in awe, incredible. How could anyone defeat someone like that? Ellie Cyan passes right by K. Their gazes meet for a brief instant, a moment of silence amid the exam arena. K looks at her, confused by the silent encounter, while Ellie Cyan returns his gaze with an intense, unreadable expression. In close-up, Ellie Cyan's eyes narrow with irritation or focus. It is clear that K has caught her attention, though not in the way he might expect. Without saying a word, Ellie Cyan continues on her way, leaving K even more perplexed by the strange interaction they just shared. A voice announces that the first exam has concluded. Examiner Yellow, from a platform, thanks all applicants for their hard work, addressing the remaining crowd. With a serious expression, Examiner Yellow informs the candidates that since they are running behind schedule, they will move directly to the next test. Those who have failed are instructed to return and try again next time. A group of dejected applicants is seen climbing the stairs to leave. Among those who remain, exhaustion is palpable. One candidate complains that the test is too harsh, with no time to rest, and hopes the next exam will be easier. An applicant asks what the next test will be, but Examiner Yellow suddenly stops, surprise spreading across his face as if he has been interrupted. Team Leader Red appears with a sly smile and announces that the second exam will be personally overseen by him. He places a hand on the nervous Examiner Yellow's shoulder while looking down at the remaining applicants below. The other examiners gape in shock and exclaim in surprise. They immediately recognize the person who has just taken control of the exam. A murmur of panic spreads among the applicants. They identify the man as Red Colorist, a name that alone inspires fear. It is explained that Red is one of the strongest colorists in Shining City, famous for reclaiming the Black Lands and for possessing such destructive power that even his allies hesitate to work with him. Terror grips the candidates. A rumor spreads that if Red is in charge, no one passes. They feel doomed. Examiner Yellow, worried, asks Red if he is sure, warning him that the captain will scold him for changing the exam on his own. Red ignores him, saying he gets scolded every day anyway. From above, Red addresses the nervous candidates in the arena and tells them that the test he prepared is simple. With a sinister smile and eyes glowing red, Red reveals the sole condition of his test: just endure. A fiery aura begins to emanate from him. Immediately after, Red unleashes his power, enveloping all the candidates in the arena with a whirlwind of red energy and intense heat, catching them completely off guard. The applicants suddenly find themselves trapped, each inside an individual sphere of blazing energy, unable to escape and unable to understand what is happening. With an unsettling smile, Red explains that he has simply recreated the environment of a place he once visited. It's going to get quite hot in here, he warns calmly, savoring their confusion. He then justifies the brutality of his test by showing visions of the Black Lands, hellish landscapes where survival is nearly impossible. Compared to those places, he declares disdainfully, this is nothing more than a warm stove, laying down his cruel ultimatum. With a cold gaze, Red sets the rules, endure and you pass. But he warns that if they cannot withstand even this, they were never qualified to begin with. Panic overtakes the trapped candidates. They scream from the unbearable heat, incredulously wondering how Red could call this a warm stove, and what kind of hellish place the Black Lands truly are. One applicant tries to use his own ability to break the barrier, but it is useless, he cannot even scratch it. Desperate, he realizes that all he can do is try to endure. As they watch, Examiner Yellow comments to Red that he had heard rumors Red was neglecting his training, but now he sees that his skills have not diminished at all. The Examiner continues, impressed, covering so many people with a barrier in an instant, your control is incredible. From above, Red surveys his work, a field of blazing spheres. Affirming his power, Examiner Yellow concludes that this is exactly what is expected of someone who has reached the summit. Red smiles confidently, bathed in the glow of his power. Suddenly, a crackling sound draws attention. One of the fire spheres begins to freeze, blue ice clashing violently against the red flames. The other applicants, struggling to survive in their own prisons, realize in astonishment that one of the barriers is being shattered from the inside. It is Ellie Cyan. With an explosion of icy power, she shatters Red's barrier, emerging unharmed and defiant amid the shards of ice. Even Red looks surprised, but a smile of genuine appreciation appears on his face. Oh, he says, this is quite good. Red reflects that the Cyan family's ice-based power should have been his natural counter, and yet she broke his barrier immediately. With a new evaluation, Red observes her and thinks that this girl might truly deserve to be called a prodigy. After acknowledging Ellie's talent, Red's attention shifts to the other candidate who interested him. That said, what about that other kid, he thinks, looking toward the remaining spheres. He finds K, number 286, still inside his sphere. He is trembling and sweating, but somehow still enduring. Red watches him for a moment, but his expression turns indifferent. But he's not breaking it, he murmurs, clearly unimpressed. Turning away, Red loses interest in K. Well, it's not like I expected much in the first place, he thinks, completely dismissing him. But inside the sphere, K is reaching his limit. Panic sets in as he screams internally that he is finished and has no idea what to do. He realizes his grave miscalculation, he spent too much of his color in the previous fights. A flashback reminds him of his recklessness, regretting that he did not restrain himself. Terror overwhelms him as he feels his power fading. The more he endures, the faster it drains. He watches his precious black color leak out of his body. An even greater fear strikes him. If he reveals himself as colorless in front of everyone, he knows the fate that awaits him. At best, he would end up as a lab rat. Desperation drives him to search for a way out. I can't just sit here, he thinks frantically. Isn't there something I can absorb like last time? His eyes fall on the wall of fire surrounding him. Something to absorb, he mutters, and a dangerous but necessary idea begins to form in his mind. Then it hits him. The barrier itself is a color ability. Therefore, shouldn't it be possible to absorb it? The idea sounds insane, but it is his only hope. He recalls the latent power he possesses, the absorption ability, though he still does not know its limits. An image of his black ink consuming something in the past flashes through his mind. With no time to hesitate and consumed by the heat, K makes a decision. I'll find out by trying, he tells himself as he extends his hand and presses it directly against the blazing surface of Red's barrier. The moment his hand touches the barrier, the effect is instant and violent. K's black ink begins directly absorbing the red energy, creating a dark void that devours the flames. K himself is in shock as he sees his desperate gamble working. K's act of absorption triggers a chain reaction. The energy of the other barriers becomes unstable, causing the other applicants to scream in terror as the fire around them intensifies. From above, the scene is chaotic. Tendrils of black ink spread from K, pulling red energy from across the entire arena toward him. The other applicants can only stare, stunned and terrified by the power they are witnessing. Even the examiners in the stands are in complete shock. Examiner Yellow stammers, what is this, as they watch K's black color voraciously consume Red's red in a swirling maelstrom of power. Red, the creator of the technique, is left speechless. His smug expression vanishes, replaced by pure disbelief. What the hell, he whispers, unable to process the scene. Little by little, Red's shock twists into a crooked, excited smile. Ha! It looks like, he says, madness gleaming in his eyes. We've got a real lunatic this time, he concludes. Below, K is wrapped in an aura of dark power, his eyes glowing as red and black energy swirl around him, marking him as something completely different. When the chaos finally dissipates, the arena falls silent. The test is over. K stands alone at the center, a faint trace of his black aura still visible, surrounded by other candidates staring at him with a mix of fear and awe. K forces a nervous smile. His plan was to survive without drawing attention, but the exact opposite has happened. This wasn't supposed to happen, he thinks in terror. Damn it, I stood out too much. Ellie Cyan's thoughts swirl. This exam meant a great deal to her, an opportunity to prove the power she had perfected for her family. But her focus shatters when she sees something impossible, the color black. And there he is, a young man with dark hair and a cloak, the source of her shock. A completely new color, something unprecedented in a world defined by a known spectrum. The question hangs in the air, is that even a color a person can possess? A close-up reveals the growing unease in Ellie Cyan's eyes. Though the feeling was faint, she could not help but feel anxious in the presence of this enigmatic participant. The scene shifts to a memory. Ellie Cyan recalls her strict upbringing, the constant pressure to always be the best in her family, and her determination never to fall behind anyone. The memory focuses on her sister, whose displeasure she could never risk provoking. This reveals the deep roots of Ellie's competitiveness and fear. Back in the present, Ellie watches as that boy, K, displays overwhelming strength, knocking down his opponents with brutal ease during the exam. She reflects on her own power. Even if she became serious and invoked her full potential, she could not guarantee victory against him. K's strength is on an entirely different level. There is something about him that cannot be explained by strength alone. A massive, dark aura emanates from K, astonishing and terrifying the other participants. Ellie wonders, what is he really? Ellie shakes her head, trying to push those unsettling questions aside. She tells herself it does not matter what he is, attempting to regain her composure. Suddenly, a red-haired man approaches and drapes an arm over the shoulders of a startled K. Ellie watches them with renewed determination, thinking that next time it will not be like this. The red-haired man, team leader Red, smiles with fascination. He comments aloud on the ability of the black color, impressed by how its wild aura seems to absorb everything. Amid the murmurs of the crowd, Red leads K away. He says he cannot contain his curiosity and asks for a private conversation to learn more about Black, promising to protect his privacy. K, looking uncomfortable, asks about the exam. Red reassures him with a smile, telling him not to worry, that with his level he will surely pass and that Red himself will take care of it. K's eyes widen as he processes the news. Passed? He realizes that standing out actually helped him. Euphoria floods him as he thinks, finally, now I'm a pioneer. Red's intervention causes an uproar. Ellie Cyan, angered, shouts at Red for doing whatever he wants while the exam is still ongoing. Red, unconcerned, apologizes and promises to make up for it later. Amid the chaos, Examiner Yellow takes the floor. He announces that due to unexpected circumstances, the exam has been interrupted but will continue. The examiner continues, specifying that everyone will undergo an additional test, except for number 17, Ellie Cyan, who broke her own barrier. A close-up of Ellie Cyan's eyes reveals her irritation. Despite being exempt, her expression is filled with disdain for the situation. Ellie watches silently as Red and K walk away, disappearing into a dark tunnel. An ominous red aura surrounds them as they leave. The scene transitions with the metallic sound of a car door closing, marking the shift to a new location. Red and K are now beside an old-looking car in an urban area. Red tells K he will be back soon and to wait there. K nods, unaware of where they have gone. Suddenly, K's eyes widen in horror and surprise. He has just recognized the place where they are. The view widens to reveal a ruined city. Collapsed buildings and rubble everywhere. K murmurs to himself, "This is the place where I fell into the ink waste." Red comments on the horrific sight, confirming that an incident occurred there not long ago. K remains silent, visibly shaken as traumatic memories resurface in his mind. Red's narration evokes a flashback of the incident. Two pioneers, who originally had colors, were seen being carried away on stretchers, now completely colorless. It was the first time something like that had happened, an event that marked a turning point. Red continues recounting the incident. According to eyewitnesses, they claimed to have seen a massive, shadowy creature at the scene. Red turns toward K, his tone turning accusatory. And not long after that, you appeared, the first person with the color black. The implication is clear, and K is left speechless in shock. Red's eyes glow an intense red as he defines K's ability, a power that absorbs other colors. It is a completely alien ability, something that does not belong to the known rules of their world. K can only listen, cold sweat running down his face. K's mind races. He realizes that Red is not merely speculating. This guy, he noticed it from the very beginning, he thinks, understanding that his absorption power has already been discovered. Panic grips K. Could he run? Impossible. He is facing a man hailed as a hero even among colorists, a figure of immense power. Red lets out a laugh. I was just testing you a little. He says, waving a hand casually. But reacting so honestly takes the fun out of it. Red grows serious again. He explains that his job is to figure out what is going on in the area, but honestly, he is more interested in K's unique ability. Red confesses that he has never seen anything like the color black or the power K uses. He explains that although color powers seem simple, they normally cannot mix at all. Yet K's ability completely ignores all those complicated relationships between colors, breaking the fundamental rules of their world. Red brings up the second exam, recalling how K's power went out of control. And judging by what happened, you can't control it, can you? He accuses, referring to how K absorbed everything around him. K is left speechless, unable to form a response. His silence is a confession. Red looks around the desolate landscape and makes a decision. Yeah, we need to run a test. K can only ask, excuse me. Red extends his hand. I need to know how far your ability goes, how it feels, how it works. With a defiant smile and an aura of power radiating from him, Red gives K a direct order. So go ahead, try to absorb mine. K panics. What? No, that's dangerous. What if something goes wrong? But Red laughs, telling the rookie it is far too early to worry about him. Red cuts off K's protest with a firm command. Stop talking and try it. K clenches his teeth, tension and fear evident on his face. As K hesitates, Red's thoughts reveal the true nature of the test. Black symbolizes the Black Lands, a sinister force that devours everything. Leaving such a dangerous power without a control mechanism is unacceptable. Red's internal monologue continues. He knows that depending on how it is used, K's power could shake the foundations of Shining City. And there is more. A secret the people do not yet know, the existence of humanoid creatures. Red's eyes gleam with dangerous knowledge. The threat looms over K as Red considers the implications. If you ever face them, K. Red manifests a blade of red energy, revealing the grave warning behind the test. In the worst case, we might have to deal with you right here. The threat of death is unmistakable. With no other choice, K accepts the ultimatum. Understood, he says, and with grim determination adds, all right, let's do it. He grabs Red's arm. His heart pounding, K makes one last desperate request, seeking a shred of reassurance before unleashing the unknown. And if something goes wrong, it's not my fault, right? He asks, his voice trembling. The instant his hand touches Red's arm, chaos erupts. K's black power reacts violently, not like a controlled siphon, but like a ravenous void. A shockwave of dark energy blasts outward, marking the start of a test that has already gone terribly wrong. Red's red energy floods into K. It is not a gentle absorption, it is a violent invasion that causes unbearable pain. Consumed by an inferno of power, K's eyes turn white and empty. He has lost control. A scream of agony escapes K as the energy explodes outward. It's hot, he cries, overwhelmed by the searing sensation. Desperate, he shouts, stop, stop. Damn it, I can't control it, as the energy boils inside him like molten lava. Facing Red's silhouette, radiating overwhelming power, K finally understands. So this is Red's color, the one they call a hero. Meanwhile, Red calmly analyzes the situation. He thinks, he's absorbing endlessly, as if he's hungry. Red deduces that since K's power is still immature, truly strong individuals could probably resist the absorption. Even so, it is clearly dangerous for most. Red's mind keeps working. What he saw in the exam cannot be the full extent of the ability. I'd also like to know how the absorbed colors are actually used, he wonders. Suddenly, the energy around K grows wilder. Tendrils of black power, tinged with red, writhe violently around him. A massive eruption of power, a chaotic blend of black and red, bursts from K's body. Red stands his ground, watching impassively as K's power runs rampant. The power begins to solidify. Red watches in shock as a sharp black armor, streaked with red, starts to crystallize over K's body. That form, he exclaims, the transformation is monstrous. If I didn't know better, Red thinks, I'd believe he's a creature. Seeing this form, identical to the eyewitness descriptions, Red reaches a grim conclusion. So it really was you behind the incident. Red knows he has much to learn about K, but the priority is clear. First, I need to put out the fire in front of me. With his hand wrapped in flames, Red prepares to intervene. Before you cause any more destruction, I'll have to subdue you. But instead of attacking, K simply growls, making Red stop short, surprised by the unexpected restraint. Inside his mind, K is fighting a war. Whispering voices flood him, urging him to take more power, intense color, bring it. I need it, accept it. K wonders why these voices keep appearing and yells at them to shut up, but they persist. Take it, it's yours. With a supreme effort of will, K fights against the primal instincts of his power. He clenches his fist and roars in his mind, shut up and stay crushed. With a final defiant cry, K forces the raging energy back into his body, containing it through sheer willpower. Red watches, completely stunned. The remnants of K's red-tinted power fade into the air. He is left speechless by what he has just witnessed. K collapses to his knees, gasping for breath. Red can only voice an incredulous question. Did you suppress it? Relief and terror flood K. Ha, unbelievable. I really thought I was dead, he exclaims, then panics. Why the hell did I go crazy out of nowhere? Terror and shame strike K. He lost control in the most monstrous way possible, and it all happened right in front of an elite colorist. He fears Red's reaction as the man watches him in tense silence. As K processes what happened, a grim resolve takes hold of him. He realizes he must understand his own ability, and soon, before it consumes him. He remains still, awaiting Red's inevitable judgment. Red breaks the silence with a smile. It caught me off guard because the power that flowed in was stronger than I expected, but, that means it was a success, right? Huh, seriously, this is fun. Red grows thoughtful. Yeah, if you want something, you have to take risks. Then, with a final tone, he declares, all right, that's enough for the test. But the conversation turns serious. You've probably already realized, Red says, but I'm the one assigned to handle the incident that happened here. And since I accepted the request, I have to find the culprit. The trap closes. And right in front of me, Red continues, fixing his gaze on K, is someone who looks like a very strong suspect. K freezes at the direct accusation. Red explains the harsh reality. There are more people interested in this case than you think. And once they hear rumors about your ability and your color, it'll be easy for them to point the finger at you. Red presses on, listing the dire consequences. Forget the massive damages. If the city leadership decides your ability is too dangerous, they could exile you. In the worst case, turn you into a lab rat. K feels completely cornered. Damn it, there's no escape, he thinks in despair. The irony is cruel, he too is a victim of his own uncontrollable power. What do I do? Just then, Red presents his offer. Well, if you come work for me, maybe I can do something about it. Without hesitation, K bows deeply. I'm in your care, he shouts, accepting any way out. Red stops him. Listen to everything first. I'm not saying I'll just fix everything for you. He warns him, you'll have to grant me some favors in return. Think you can handle that? For K, anything is better than ruin or experimentation. With a smile of pure relief and desperation, he exclaims, yes, of course. I'll do anything you need. A predatory smile spreads across Red's face, his eyes glowing with malicious red. He savors K's words and asks with chilling calm, oh. Anything. In the desolate and gloomy black lands, a small and mysterious creature of black ink wanders alone. Suddenly, the creature stops, alerted by a tremor that shakes the ground. A gigantic wheel appears, about to crush everything in its path, kicking up clouds of dust and debris. Aboard the massive vehicle, K peers out through a hatch with a mix of nervousness and awe, thinking that he has never come this far before. The imposing transport moves across the harsh terrain. For Kay, this is his first step as a true pioneer. Suddenly, a green-haired young man approaches Kay with an annoyed look and calls him out by the color of his hair. He sternly tells him that he is making everyone nervous, that he should stop being a distraction and sit down already. Kay looks at his new companions. The green-haired guy seems satisfied to finally begin real pioneer work, while Ellie Cyan, the blue-haired girl, remains seated in silence. The green-haired boy smiles maliciously, thinking that they are now teammates. A dark shadow forms around his eyes, revealing an intimidating nature. Ellie Cyan, for her part, appears lost in thought, processing the unbelievable situation they are in. The scene shifts to Kay's memory. He looks surprised when he is asked if he wants to join the expedition. It is team leader Red who makes the proposal. He explains that he has found a location in the unexplored area and will need Kay's help. Red laughs and tells Kay not to make such a worried face. He assures him that he will not go alone, since all the new recruits will be joining the mission, and shows him a map with the expedition route. Red adds that the Pioneer Corps will announce the expedition plan soon. He gives his final instructions. The details will be given at that time. So Kay only needs to be punctual and show up at the designated location. With that, Kay's memory ends. Back in the present, Kay reflects on how his two companions were already waiting for him when he boarded the transport. He recalls the selection process. Red's interference during the exam changed everything, so to keep things fair, everyone was given another chance. That is how a number of strong contenders, including the green-haired boy, passed the additional test. And Ellie, the top scorer, personally requested to join Red's team herself. Back in the present, the green-haired boy, still furious, mutters that he cannot believe he was humiliated by a careless rookie like Kay. He remembers the moment Kay defeated him, insisting that he only let his guard down for a second. He warns Kay not to count on the same luck again. He threatens him, swearing that when the exploration ends, he will be ready for a rematch. He mutters to himself that if Lady Lavian were not right behind him, he would have crushed Kay on the spot. Unbeknownst to him, Lady Lavian herself is watching everything calmly from her desk, adjusting her glasses. Interrupting the tension, Ellie Cyan tells the green-haired boy to leave it alone, since he will just be defeated again anyway. She continues, saying that he is wasting his time, because Kay is beyond his reach. The green-haired boy is stunned by her comment. Ellie declares that she will be the first to challenge Kay. Kay, surprised, wonders if they might actually get along. Completely confused, Kay cannot understand where that idea came from, wondering when they ever agreed on something like that. With a cold look, Ellie tells the green-haired boy that if he already lost, he should just shut up and wait his turn, leaving him speechless. The tense atmosphere fades as Kay stands up, leaving behind his two new and highly competitive companions. Kay wears an uncertain expression, unsure whether this strange team dynamic will really work. Meanwhile, the vehicle continues its journey through the darkness, approaching a brightly lit outpost in the distance. Upon arrival, people disembark and begin unloading supplies at the bustling industrial complex. Kay and the others step off the transport. He realizes that they have arrived at the Dawn Pioneer outpost. Watching the workers and the scale of the operation, Kay is amazed. He thinks that when he used to go alone into the Black Lands, he had no idea that Rank S Corps operated on such a massive scale. Suddenly, someone taps his cheek to get his attention. It is a white-haired girl asking why he seems so distracted. Kay recognizes her with joy. "Mari. You came," he exclaims. She smiles and replies that of course she had to be there for Kay's first mission. Mari tells him that Nero is there too, and the small black cat pokes his head out from inside her jacket. Kay takes Nero into his arms and thanks Mari for taking care of him. She affectionately replies that it is nothing, that Nero is family to her as well. Mari adds enthusiastically that joining the expedition is a great opportunity for her, since her skills as a blacksmith will be very useful and she will gain experience. At that moment, a voice over a megaphone interrupts their conversation, calling everyone to gather. A man announces that, as planned, they will soon be entering the Black Lands, and the crowd of pioneers prepares themselves. It is time to depart. Kay hands Nero back to Mari, asking her to take care of him. Mari agrees without hesitation. Mari tells him not to do anything reckless. Kay smiles and says goodbye as he walks off to join his group. Mari tries to comfort little Nero, who seems sad about Kay's departure. But suddenly, Nero slips from her hands like a stream of ink, to Mari's shock. "Nero!" Mari cries, watching the blot of ink dash and leap toward Kay as he joins the group. But instead of reaching him physically, Nero dissolves into a puddle of ink and merges directly with Kay's shadow. Mari stands wide-eyed, completely stunned by what she has just witnessed. She waves her hands in confusion. "Huh? What's going on?" "Kay, wait," she shouts, but he is already too far away to hear her. All she can do is watch Kay disappear into the crowd, trying to convince herself that Nero's strange disappearance is nothing important. The scene shifts to a vast cavern where the pioneers gather in groups, preparing under floodlights for the imminent mission. An orange-haired woman, the leader Arancha, gives the order, "Prepare yourselves. We are about to enter the Black Lands." With authority, Arancha reminds everyone that safety always comes first on every mission. She explains that, according to the scouts, Area 21 contains unknown dangerous creatures and is where the corpse of a rank A creature was found, making it extremely dangerous. A subordinate rushes over, calling her urgently. "Lady Arancha." She turns around, surprised. Arancha asks what is wrong. The man nervously informs her that Chief Red is taking the new recruits with him. He adds that they have left their assigned formation without permission. Arancha reacts with disbelief and fury. The subordinate confirms it is true and reminds her that she is now in charge of the area. Arancha sighs in frustration. "That guy again," then she orders her subordinate to make sure the rookies are brought back safely. Meanwhile, another pioneer notices that Red's team is heading elsewhere. Meanwhile, in a desolate rocky canyon, the rogue group begins its own expedition. K pulls his hand out of a dark portal that appears to be his shadow and joins the rest of the team. The team is assembled, Chief Red leads the way, followed by K, the green-haired boy, and Ellie Cyan, all of whom look tense. K, worried, asks Red whether their separate mission is really safe, since their destination differs from the main group. His concern grows as he realizes that all members of the team are rookies. K turns to his companions and asks why they are following him, since he heard that Chief Red only intended to bring him along. The green-haired boy angrily replies that he would never consider staying behind someone like K. Ellie coldly adds that she would never allow K to have Chief Red's training all to himself. Red smiles smugly. He tells them that he never planned to babysit anyone, but that he is with them to make sure they do not get seriously injured. With a confident look, Red declares that after all, he is also part of this team. "So, enough talking, move out," he orders. K looks at him, a new determination shining in his eyes. Led by the light of Red's flashlight, the team ventures into the darkness of the cave, where the threatening silhouettes of multiple creatures lurk. Suddenly, a shark-like creature with sharp teeth lunges at them from the darkness, marking the start of real combat. Without hesitation, Ellie Cyan is the first to react. She draws her weapon and, with a swift motion, unleashes a powerful blue energy slash that instantly disintegrates the creature. With an intense gaze, Ellie Cyan thinks to herself, "So this is the Black Lands. The place is suffocating, and the creatures keep coming. A real fight is nothing like training." She checks her spoit, the weapon that channels her power. She knows she must watch her energy, or she will be exhausted quickly. While watching K interact with an ink creature, Ellie reflects that she must move more intelligently and think ahead. K is also lost in thought, determined not to fall behind his new and talented companions. Ellie breaks the silence and calls out to him. "By the way, K," she asks him directly, "why don't you use a spoit?" She adds that even during the entrance exam, he did not use one. K feels a bit awkward at the question. With a bead of sweat on his forehead, K admits the truth somewhat clumsily. "Well, I don't have one." K explains that they are too expensive and he thought he could manage without one, so he never used it. Ellie is left absolutely stunned. The green-haired boy, who had been listening, explodes in disbelief. "What? Seriously, you've never used one?" A spoit is an indispensable weapon for pioneers fighting creatures, and it comes in various forms such as swords, staffs, or guns. Its main function is to mix colors within creatures in order to defeat them. The green-haired boy realizes the shocking truth. K had defeated a creature with his bare hands, without using a spoit. He looks at his own spoit in frustration, processing what he has just heard. A flashback of his fight in the exam crosses his mind. K's fist striking him. He realizes that he faced someone who does not even use a spoit, and could not even scratch him. He grits his teeth in rage and humiliation. "Damn it," he thinks, seething with fury. With a look of newfound, burning determination, he silently vows, "K, one day I'll crush you with my own hands." Red, holding the flashlight, silently observes his two recruits, noticing the intense tension radiating from the green-haired boy. A smile spreads across Red's face as he watches the trio. "Heh, not bad," he thinks. "It takes two geniuses to spark like this." His smile widens with anticipation. Things are going to get much more interesting. With a carefree tone, Red encourages the team. "Come on, we're almost there, just a little more. Let's finish quickly and go celebrate." And with that, the chapter comes to an end. After defeating several creatures, the team takes a breather. The group leader announces a short rest, but Red, the chief, warns them not to lower their guard. He gives them 10 minutes to regroup before moving on, as the real mission is only just beginning. Green, the green-haired boy, complains about having spent so much color, his energy source, during the fight. Kei watches him curiously, and when he sees what Green is about to do, his eyes widen in surprise. Green drinks a vial of green liquid. Kei realizes what it is and exclaims, "Personal ink." It is a special ink refined through alchemy, an essential item for pioneers that restores color and energy. Moreover, it is custom-made to match each person's unique color, which makes it extremely expensive. Kei watches with envy as Green and Blue drink their ink as if it were nothing, feeling a bit jealous that he cannot afford such a luxury. Kei steps away, while Blue comments that she did not really need it anyway. Suddenly, Kei stops and reaches his hand toward the ground, leaving Blue confused as she asks what he is doing. Before the astonished eyes of his companions, Kei begins absorbing the dark energy from the corpses of the creatures they have just defeated. With a satisfied smile, he clenches his fist, fully mastering the black energy he has gathered. When he stands up, he feels completely restored. His method of recovering energy is very different from everyone else's. Green and Blue look at him with concern, asking if he is really okay. Kei, for his part, does not understand their reaction. Kei assures them that he is perfectly fine and that he has done this many times, but they cannot believe he absorbed a creature without suffering any consequences. Green thinks he is completely insane. At that moment, the end of the break is announced. Red turns around and orders them to move out, saying they have rested long enough. Shortly after, with an enigmatic smile, Red stops and announces that they have arrived at their destination. In front of them stands a gigantic and ominous barrier of black energy blocking the entrance to a cave. Kei, surprised, wonders out loud what that black barrier in front of them is. The barrier spins on itself like a dark, impenetrable vortex, stirring uncertainty within the group. Red turns to Kei with a half-smile and says, "This is why I brought you here." To prove his point, Red concentrates his own red energy in the palm of his hand, inviting Kei to see for himself. Without hesitation, he fires a powerful scarlet beam of energy straight at the barrier. The attack slams into the center of the dark vortex, but the red energy is swallowed by the darkness. Indeed, once the smoke clears, the black barrier remains completely intact, proving that a frontal attack only strengthens it. Red addresses the team and explains the nature of the barrier. Understood? If you try to break it by force, it absorbs that power and becomes even stronger. Then he looks directly at Kei and reveals his plan. That absorption ability, it's similar to your power, isn't it? That's why I had a hunch your ability could eliminate this barrier. Red continues, revealing the purpose of the mission. Inside that barrier is a path to some ruins. And within those ruins, we must find our objective, the Stella Fragments. Upon hearing the name of the target, Kei is completely shocked. Green and Blue, however, have no idea what those fragments are. They admit it is the first time they have heard of Stella. Kei remains silent, his expression dark. Unlike his companions, it seems he knows exactly what Red is talking about. Red avoids giving further details. He tells them it is something that Shining City is desperately seeking and that he will explain more later. For now, let's get rid of that barrier first, Red says, bringing the focus back to the immediate task. Kei has no choice but to accept. With the mission clear, Kei approaches the edge of the dark vortex with determination. Slowly, he extends his hand, preparing to touch the swirling surface of the black barrier. Upon contact, his power resonates with the barrier. The black energy begins to swirl around his hand, recognizing their strange affinity. From behind, the rest of the team watches in amazement as Kei begins absorbing the massive barrier, proving that Red's hunch was correct. Red smiles in satisfaction, confirming that his plan is working perfectly. Little by little, the enormous black vortex begins to shrink, being completely absorbed by Kei's unique power. The effort leaves Kei exhausted, but he succeeds. Red thinks to himself with a malicious smile that Kei's power will be very useful from now on. Just as the barrier disappears, a strong vibration shakes the area. Green and Blue grow alarmed, worried that the noise will attract more creatures. Their fears come true. Strange sounds echo from the darkness above, and everyone looks toward the source with apprehension. From the shadows emerge the silhouettes of numerous creatures, with glowing eyes and sharp teeth. A horde of black monsters has appeared on the surrounding cliffs, drawn by the released power. Blue prepares for battle, while Red, far from worried, seems amused by the situation. "Huh, looks like a whole crowd showed up," he comments calmly. Red gives the order to split tasks. "We'll handle the creatures while Kei deals with the barrier." With a decisive command, "Wipe them all out," Red sends Green and Blue into battle. Both pioneers charge in without hesitation, moving at incredible speed. Following Red's orders, Green launches his attack and unleashes a wide slash with his sword, sweeping away several dark creatures in a single motion. Blue is not far behind and summons a rain of sharp ice fragments upon the enemies, demonstrating perfect coordination with her partner. While green and blue fight fiercely, red watches from a distance. I was ready to step in if needed, he thinks to himself, but it doesn't seem necessary at all. With a smug smile, Red uses his own power to effortlessly eliminate a few creatures, showing his superiority. Red reflects on the team's performance. I thought I'd have to clean up the rookies' mess, but they're good enough to have brought along. Ah, it's so nice when they handle things on their own, Red says, pleased that his plan is unfolding without much effort on his part. As the battle continues in the distance, the scene returns to Kei, who is still immersed in his own struggle with the barrier. Kei senses that something is wrong. Why do I feel a similar power coming from the barrier? Is it because it's black too, he wonders, noticing the strange connection. He feels the barrier trying to steal his color. If I lose concentration for even a second, it could steal my color instead, he thinks, realizing it is a direct contest of power. But in that struggle, Kei prevails. I am stronger, he declares with conviction as he firmly grips the dark energy and subdues it. With a sigh of relief and exhaustion, Kei finally absorbs the entire barrier, clearing the path. But what is revealed is not a cave, but a gigantic and dark abyss. Is this the entrance to the ruins? I can't even see the bottom, he murmurs in awe. Even so, he fulfills his role and turns to inform his leader, who is still observing the other battle. Boss! I've eliminated the barrier, he shouts. Red turns, smiling. Oh. Good, good. Well done, Kei. My instincts didn't fail me, he praises, his tone showing his satisfaction with the result. Then he calls out to the other two. The barrier is down. Leave that and regroup here. Red tells them to stop, saying it is not necessary to finish off all the creatures. But suddenly, his expression changes. Something catches his attention, and his eyes widen in surprise and alarm. A flash of energy streaks across the battlefield at blinding speed, immediately followed by another massive slash, seemingly coming from a different direction. The combined attacks annihilate the remaining creatures in an instant, tearing them apart completely. The team watches in silence at the sudden and overwhelming display of power that has just occurred. Green is the first to react, completely stunned. What? What is this? He shouts, unable to comprehend what just happened. The cavern floor has been cut and leveled by the force of the attack, leaving deep marks in the rock. This can't be, the team thinks. Red's expression turns grim. Ha! I knew things were going too well, he complains, clearly annoyed by this unexpected interruption. Red reveals that he anticipated this possibility. We received reports about a dangerous entity in the area, but of course, that thing had to show up right now. From among the corpses of the creatures, a new and threatening silhouette emerges. The entity stands before them, radiating an aura of danger. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Red says, looks like there's no time to mess around anymore. The new threat fully reveals itself, an imposing figure with a partially covered face, black and white hair, and a collection of weapons on its back. Its presence is overwhelming. A piercing, malicious gaze locks onto the group. There is no doubt that this new enemy is on a completely different level. Momentarily ignoring the enemy, Red urgently addresses his team. Listen up, all of you, he orders, drawing Kei's startled attention. Red places a hand on Kei's shoulder and gives a shocking command. All of you, enter the ruins right now. Work together and find the Stella fragments, he continues, making it clear that the mission remains the priority. Red tries to reassure them, but Kei cannot believe what he is hearing. Wait. Just us, he asks, incredulous at the idea that Red will not accompany them. But Red accepts no refusal. No more talking. Go in. With relentless force, he pushes Kei and the others toward the abyss. As they fall into the bottomless darkness, Kei, Green, and Blue shout their leader's name, feeling the betrayal firsthand. From the edge, Red watches them disappear into the blackness, the echo of their desperate cries resounding. What are we supposed to do on our own? With the rookies out of the way, Red turns to face the mysterious entity. The real battle is about to begin. The scene follows Kei as he freefalls into the unknown, submerged in total darkness. The landing is brutal. Kei groans in pain, battered but alive, at the bottom of the abyss. Trying to get his bearings, he turns on his flashlight and wonders if this dark place is truly the interior of the ruins they were searching for. He raises the flashlight and its beam begins to cut through the darkness, slowly revealing the surroundings. What he sees takes his breath away. His eyes widen, reflecting a scene of utter disbelief and horror. He is not in ancient ruins. The light reveals an apocalyptic landscape, a modern city, completely destroyed and shrouded in perpetual darkness. What is this place? He stammers, utterly bewildered by the desolate sight. Venturing into vast underground ruins, a black-haired young man named K marvels at the scale of the ruined city stretching out before him. Wow, this is incredible, he thinks to himself, astonished by the remains of a destroyed ancient civilization. K still cannot believe that a place like this exists beneath the ground. Meanwhile, one of his companions complains about the darkness, only for another to snap at him to stop whining and head toward a bright point in the distance. Holding a flashlight, K reunites with his two companions, a green-haired young man named Hyam and a blue-haired woman named Marie. K expresses his relief at seeing them, admitting that he thought he was the only one who had gotten lost in the vast ruins. Marie, the blue-haired girl, blames Hyam, the green-haired one, for getting lost. Offended, Hyam shouts back that she was just as lost, revealing the tense dynamic between the two. As they look at the silhouettes of the three pioneers in the distance, one of them comments out loud on how enormous the place is, far bigger than they initially imagined. Hyam vents his frustration, saying they never expected to find traces of an ancient civilization down here. He complains about the difficulty of the mission. They called it a stellar fragment, right? How the hell are we supposed to find that thing in ruins this huge? Hyam continues his rant, pointing out that they do not even know what the fragment looks like. K, with a grim expression, admits that he is right and that if they search blindly, they will be here forever. K thinks that at times like this, he wishes Nero were here. A brief memory crosses his mind, showing Nero, the small cat-like creature, and how it reacted to certain stimuli. Suddenly, K seems to realize something and his gaze sharpens. He murmurs the creature's name, Q, as if an idea has just come to him. To his surprise, when he calls out, a small black, cat-shaped silhouette, Nero, appears at his feet. K is stunned by the unexpected appearance. Completely shocked, K shouts, Nero. How did you get here? Hyam and Marie, with their backs turned, spin around at his shout, not understanding what is happening. A close-up shows Marie's eyes widening in surprise and disbelief as she sees the small creature beside K. Marie asks if that is a creature. K, nervous and feeling cornered, thinks, ah. I'm done for. What do I do? He realizes there is no point in making excuses anymore. K's expression shifts from panic to determination. He thinks that, actually, this might not be bad, but a good opportunity. He realizes that he could not hide Nero forever anyway while working as a pioneer. As Nero peeks curiously from behind his cloak, K decides to take a risk. He thinks that if he can prove to his companions that Nero is truly useful, the situation might work in his favor. With renewed confidence, K turns to his companions and asks them to come closer for a moment, ready to reveal his plan. Holding Nero in his hands, K announces with a confident smile, "I've found an easy way to track the Stella fragment." The three gather as K begins to explain his idea, with the small creature Nero at the center of his plan. Skeptical, Hyam asks K, "That little creature you've been raising is going to guide us to the Stella fragment?" K smiles and assures him that it will, and that they will find it very quickly. Marie, however, does not believe it. "Stop talking nonsense," she exclaims. "If a rare creature like that existed, there's no way I wouldn't know about it." K insists that it is real as Nero settles into Marie's arms. Fed up with Marie's skepticism, K tells her he will prove it. "Nero, let's go," he orders the creature, while Marie looks at him with disdain. With Nero still in Marie's arms, K says fervently, "Let's show this idiot how amazing you are." The creature lets out a determined Q. Marie lets out a small cry of surprise when Nero suddenly leaps from her hands, slipping free of her grip. In midair, Nero's body breaks apart and transforms into a fast-spinning sphere of light, emitting an energetic hum as it prepares to act. The light condenses for a moment, taking the shape of a glowing cat's head. Before the astonished eyes of K, Marie, and Hyam, the creature demonstrates its incredible ability, leaving the entire team speechless. Hyam and Marie are left utterly stunned, eyes wide with shock, completely speechless at Nero's transformation. Now turned into a streak of light, Nero shoots forward, guiding the team through the dark and decaying ruins. K, Hyam, and Marie follow closely behind. Still processing what they have seen, Hyam mutters in disbelief, "This can't be, a creature that follows a human and even has a special ability." Hyam continues, bewildered. "I've never heard of anything like this, where did he even get something like that?" Meanwhile, K follows Nero's glowing form with his flashlight in hand. K speaks to Nero's light form. "Nero, you can feel it, right? The Stella fragment is somewhere around here." The creature replies with an enthusiastic Q. Kei tells Nero that he is counting on him. A close-up shows the creature's determined, shining eyes as it prepares to search. Nero, in his light form, looks upward as if sensing something, surrounded by floating particles of light. Suddenly, Nero changes direction, stretching and twisting through the air. Seeing this, Kei asks out loud, "Oh. Did you find something?" Nero's trail of light guides Kei toward what appears to be the entrance to a deep, dark corridor or tunnel. Kei peers into the dark passage, a doubtful expression on his face as he contemplates the pitch-black depths beyond. Upon reaching the entrance of the corridor, Kei wonders aloud how much deeper they will have to go. Below, the whole team gathers before the ominous entrance, with Nero floating at the threshold. With a mocking grin, Hayam taunts Kei. "TCH, why are you hesitating? If you're scared, you can stay behind." Annoyed, Kei replies, "Who said I was scared?" "Fine, I'll go in," Kei declares. The three stand before the tunnel entrance, Nero's light their only guide in the darkness. The team moves into a long, metallic corridor that looks far more technological than the previous ruins. Nero's trail of light continues to guide them through this new environment. Surprised, Kei remarks that the area is larger than he expected and wonders what its original purpose might have been. Kei notices that Nero has changed direction again, heading straight toward a massive metal door at the end of a branching path. Nero stops right in front of the door. He must have found something. Kei thinks excitedly, convinced they are close to their objective. Suddenly, a gigantic mechanical foot crashes down with a thunderous force right in front of them, shaking the ground and blocking their path. A close-up of Kei's eye shows his absolute shock. His pupil contracts at the sudden, violent appearance. The entire team looks up, frozen in surprise, as the enormous mechanical structure looms over them. With a mix of surprise and sarcasm, Hayam looks at Kei and comments, "Well, I guess he really did find something." Standing before them is an imposing humanoid robot, steam hissing from its joints. "What is that?" one of them asks in terror. A close-up of the robot reveals its single glowing eye and metallic construction. Someone points out that it does not look like a normal creature. The robot activates, and a beam of light emerges from its body, pointing at the group. It begins a scanning process, analyzing each team member one by one. The scanner stops first on Marie. A code is projected over her, #81CFF4, identifying the hexadecimal value of her blue color. Marie watches, perplexed, not understanding the purpose of the analysis. The robot's beam moves to Hayam, displaying his green color code, #7DA97C. Hayam and Kei watch the imposing robot as it continues its scan. The scanner finally focuses on Kei. He realizes what is happening and asks, "A hexadecimal code scan? Is it checking our colors?" A close-up of Kei shows his worried expression as the robot scans him, a bead of sweat running down his face. An ominous code appears on a black, textured background. Number 000000, the code for absolute black, representing Kei's color. After scanning Kei, the robot's eye shines intensely. Its system issues a diagnosis. Black witch color detected. Immediately after, the robot declares, classified as a threat. Initiating elimination. Kei freezes as he is identified as the target. Without warning, the robot launches an attack, firing a projectile directly at Kei. Marie screams his name in terror as his companions are blown aside by the force of the explosion. The impact knocks Kei back, and he barely manages to block the blow. "NGH, this thing," he groans, feeling the robot's immense strength. Getting back up with a furious expression, Kei shouts, "How dangerous. Attacking out of nowhere like that." Furious, Kei prepares to counterattack as Marie and Hayam draw their color weapons. "Whatever it is, it attacked first," Kei says, "so it better be ready to be destroyed." With a battle cry, Kei charges the robot and delivers a direct punch. Kei's fist slams into the robot's torso with tremendous force, but the machine's armor seems to withstand the impact without issue. Kei pulls his fist back, aching and frustrated. "NGH. Why is this thing so tough?" he exclaims in disbelief. The robot remains unmoved, without a single scratch. "Seriously, what is this thing supposed to be?" Kei wonders, bewildered. It is Marie's turn. She fires a powerful beam of blue energy at the robot's head, but the attack dissipates without causing visible damage. Marie and Hayam launch a coordinated assault, striking the robot with her blue energy blade and his green energy slash, but their attacks bounce off the metallic armor. Marie watches in frustration as her attacks prove useless. Even with color power, it doesn't leave a single mark, she thinks. Marie continues analyzing the situation. "Maybe it's because, it's not a creature, my power isn't working properly." The robot remains intact. Hayam notices the robot's core, a glass chamber in its chest containing a dark liquid. Is that ink in the core? If that's its weak point, we have to hit it. Following Hayam's idea, K and he attempt to attack the core, but the robot defends itself with agility, blocking their strikes. K tries a different approach, generating a cutting arc of energy with his hand, but the robot anticipates it. The robot strikes K with its massive arm, sending him flying. Arg! K screams as he is violently repelled. Frustrated and out of breath, K realizes the harsh truth. Damn it, normal attacks are useless. Now what? He thinks desperately. Desperate after realizing that ordinary attacks will not work, K searches for a solution until a memory comes to mind. Wait, that's it, he thinks. If I cover myself in black like last time, it should work. The image of his silhouette wrapped in dark energy from a past battle gives him new hope. Aware of the risk, since that power consumes his color at an alarming rate, he makes a strategic decision. It consumes too much, so I'll only wrap my fist in black. Instantly, ominous dark ink begins swirling around his hand, preparing it for impact. With his fist wrapped in black ink, K prepares for the final blow. I've got this, he thinks, positioning himself to attack the robot. With an intensely determined look, K lunges forward, driving his power-charged fist straight at the robot. K's fist slams into the robot's torso. The metallic armor cracks and explodes outward under the devastating force of the black ink punch. The blow pierces straight through the robot, shattering it to pieces. The machine's core is flung into the air as its body disintegrates around it. The robot's remains, now completely destroyed, crash to the ground. The automaton's lifeless head is visible among the debris. A close-up shows one of the robot's shattered arms lying on the ground, now inert and reduced to scrap. K exhales in relief as he stands over the remains of the defeated robot. In the distance, Hayam and Marie watch, utterly stunned by the display of power. With the robot's wreckage scattered around him, K remarks tiredly, "That thing was more annoying than I thought." Suddenly, something among the debris catches K's attention. A shiny spherical object, the robot's core, lies among the broken pieces. He wonders. K picks up the core and examines it. Oh, so this is the core. It looks different from the ones I usually see, he thinks with a smile. Marie would love it if I brought it to her. But his moment is interrupted by Marie's shout. K! What was that power just now? Hayam and Marie confront K. Hayam complains, "Hey! If you had that, you should have used it earlier. I wasted my color for nothing." Marie demands an explanation as K looks at them, annoyed. K scolds them back. "Why are you complaining like you're the victims? That move consumes a ton of color, so I didn't want to use it unless I had to." As they argue, a nearby door opens with a silent click. The sound of the opening door startles the group, interrupting their argument. The three turn to see what happened. They look toward the newly opened door, which reveals a passage of total darkness. Did that door just open by itself? K wonders. Suddenly, Nero shoots forward in his light form, flying straight toward the dark doorway while emitting a sharp, urgent cue. Nero floats before the dark entrance, chirping insistently. Concerned, K approaches and asks, "Nero? What is it?" K asks the creature if something is there, as the camera focuses on the ominous black void opening in the wall. K cautiously approaches the door. I don't see anything." "Are you sure it's safe?" he asks, hesitating. K reaches out to touch the surface of the darkness, wondering if it is like the barrier they saw on the surface. The instant his finger makes contact, the darkness ripples like the surface of water. At the touch, the dark portal violently comes to life, beginning to absorb everything around it like a vortex. K looks on, shocked and alarmed. Claws of darkness shoot out from the portal, grabbing the entire team. What the hell? It's absorbing things. K shouts. Hayam yells angrily at K for touching it, while K warns everyone to be careful. Everyone screams in panic as they are dragged helplessly into the dark doorway, their bodies disappearing into the blackness. The team's pale silhouettes fall through a completely black void. Someone complains and asks what just happened. In total darkness, Hayam laments the situation, while Marie, equally distressed, says it is so dark she cannot see anything. Someone asks if everyone is okay. A hand, now stripped of color, appears in the darkness. Seeing it, its owner, Hayam, can only say, "Huh." Hayam looks at his hands, now completely gray, in panic. What? My color, he stammers, clutching his chest in desperation as he realizes the terrible truth. My color is gone. With eyes bulging in terror, Hyam screams, what the hell, what just happened? Beside him, Marie is also completely stripped of her blue color, her expression frozen in pure shock. Both of them have lost their colors in the darkness. In the bright city, a futuristic metropolis, a small black scorpion scurries through the outskirts. It is Nero, the companion of our protagonist. The scene shifts to the Eastern Administration Office, an imposing government building. Inside the office, a hand slams furiously onto a desk, crumpling the papers. A voice shouts, "That damn brat." The director, the man who struck the desk, asks his assistant about someone's whereabouts. The assistant nervously reports that the person is on an expedition mission with Red and hands over a defiant message, "Stop sticking your nose where it doesn't belong." The director's fury explodes at the mention of the word black. He yells, questioning how Red could bring something so dangerous onto the battlefield. The director continues his outburst, now focused on Red. He wonders what the hell Red was thinking, and although he considers him a hero, he believes this time he has gone too far. He recalls a past incident in which a creature appeared inside the city and had to be covered up to avoid public panic. The memory leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. Despite his anger, the director pours an excessive amount of sugar cubes into his drink while admitting that as long as Red is present, the worst will not happen. Even so, worry gnaws at him. A pink-haired woman named Camellia interrupts. The director demands that she focus, but she calmly replies that she understands why he distrusts black so much, linking it to the Black Witch. Camellia explains that the color black is dangerous because it symbolizes death and fear, especially due to the first black tide caused by the witch. During that time, humanity was nearly wiped out. She continues, describing how the world was covered by a dark fog and transformed into the Black Land, from which the creatures emerged. Camellia warns that the tide will return. The city has withstood several waves, but the next threat is only a matter of time. She explains that the real reason they are so desperate to explore and reclaim land is simply to survive. She connects the recent strange phenomena in the city with the appearance of someone wielding the power of black. Although they do not know how these two events are related, one thing is clear: for the future, they need all the firepower they can get. Citing Lord Luminous, Camellia insists that they must use all available assets, even if that asset is black. She asks the director to persuade the council. The director sighs, admitting that it is easier said than done. Reluctantly, the director promises he will do the best he can as he looks at a file on his desk. The file contains a photo of Kay, the young user of black. As he looks at Kay's photo, the director reflects that from now on, the fate of the bright city may end up revolving around that boy. The scene abruptly shifts to a dark, empty space. We see the silhouettes of Kay and his two companions. A voice shouts, "What happened here?" Lumiel, the blonde-haired companion, points at Kay in desperation. He shouts that all his color has disappeared and demands to know why Kay still has his. Kay, with a thoughtful expression, replies indifferently, "How would I know? Maybe it's because we're both black." Meanwhile, Lumiel and the other companion are visibly weakened. Lumiel wonders why he feels so weak after shouting a little, noticing that he has no strength left in his body. Kay watches them, confused by their condition. Kay, on the other hand, feels perfectly fine. He wonders if his companion's weakness is because this is the first time they have experienced a colorless state. Moreover, since entering this strange space, he has felt something peculiar. Beside him, his companions continue to suffer the effects of the colorless void. Kay realizes that if he focuses his vision, he feels like he can see something. A strange green light begins to glow from his chest. Suddenly, the dark space fills with strange floating symbols and unintelligible whispers, startling the three explorers. Terrified, Lumiel shouts into the darkness, demanding that whoever is there show themselves. Kay and his companion watch apprehensively, sensing a growing presence around them. Kay has a premonition that something bad is about to happen. In the darkness, the silhouette of a woman with long black hair appears, the dreaded Black Witch. The sudden appearance leaves Kay completely shocked. His companions, Lumiel and the other explorer, are also frozen in terror at the new presence. Lumiel, unable to comprehend what he is seeing, asks if it is one of the creatures they usually face. The figure raises a finger, pointing directly ahead. Kay realizes that he did not sense her presence at all. He wonders when she arrived. The finger of the apparition touches Kay, who stares in disbelief, unable to react. At the moment of contact, Kay's eyes turn white, as if his consciousness is being dragged somewhere else. Kay is plunged into a chaotic and terrifying vision, a vortex of violent colors devouring a city. The vision continues, showing a hellish landscape dyed red, with silhouettes of gigantic monsters and flying creatures destroying everything. It is the Black Tide. Hordes of grotesque creatures with glowing eyes advance beneath the shadow of the Black Witch, who looms over them like a dark sun. The vision focuses on the Black Witch's glowing, empty eyes, filled with ancient malice. Kei sees himself facing the imposing figure of the witch. In his mind, a question echoes: is this a memory or reality? The vision changes. Now he sees the image of a small child, a past version of himself, completely terrified and colorless, wondering, who am I? In the midst of the darkness, a gentle voice speaks to the frightened child. The voice gives him a name, Kei, and encourages him to find his own light and his own color, as a multicolored flash briefly illuminates the scene. Back in the present, Kei exhales heavily, his body trembling from the intensity of the vision he has just experienced. He staggers in the void, clutching his head as he curses the chilling scenes that have haunted him. As he tries to recover, a specific memory from the end of the vision returns to his mind. He realizes that he saw someone else. With a mix of surprise and confusion, he remembers seeing Lumiel in that vision of his past. Despite the horror, the experience seems to ignite a spark of defiance in Kei. He shouts into the void, daring those visions to come for him, fed up with being their plaything. However, his challenge is interrupted when he sees the state of his companions. They are completely lost in their own nightmares, attacking the air and begging for it to stop. Lumiel, his face twisted in panic, screams that he will kill everyone and demands to be left alone, completely out of his mind. The other explorer is on the ground, crying and begging for forgiveness over and over. She mutters that it is her fault and that she cannot endure it anymore, completely broken. Kei looks at his shattered companions and realizes the seriousness of the situation. With the creature that appeared earlier and the mental state of his team, he knows they cannot remain in this place. They need to get out, and fast. At that moment, a bright streak of light cuts through the darkness with a sharp sound. It is Nero, his faithful companion. Kei is filled with relief at the sight of Nero. He is glad that he is safe and is surprised to see that, like himself, Nero does not seem affected by the colorless space. Nero, now changed into an adorable cat form, flutters around Kei, trying to get his attention. Kei senses that his companion has found something. Nero leaves a trail of light in the darkness, indicating a path. Kei understands that he must follow it and prepares to investigate. However, before he can leave, he knows he must deal with his two companions, who are still trapped in their nightmares. Kei asks Nero if he can use his ability to help them. Nero responds with an enthusiastic "Q." Obeying Kei, Nero generates a sphere of bright light that envelopes the two helpless explorers. The dark, nightmarish aura surrounding Lumiel and the other companion dissipates under Nero's light. Relieved, Kei realizes that it is working. With his companions stabilized and safe within the barrier of light, Kei tells them to stay still while he moves ahead to investigate. Following Nero's luminous trail, Kei ventures alone into the deep darkness of the black space. He walks for what feels like an eternity through the void, unable to see anything around him. As he advances, the mysterious whispers he heard before begin to echo again in the darkness. The whispers repeat cryptic phrases such as, "No color will ever stain you." Frustrated, Kei expresses his exhaustion at hearing the same enigmatic lines over and over. Suddenly, a bright, star-like light appears in the distance, catching his attention amid the gloom. Realizing that there is something there, Kei does not hesitate and runs toward the flash of light. He approaches quickly, his face illuminated by the ever-intensifying glow emanating from his destination. At last, he finds it. Before him stands an ancient stone structure, and at its center, an object emitting a powerful light. It is the Stella fragment, the primary objective of his mission, shining with a golden light atop a stone monolith. Kei studies it closely. He confirms that it is a Stella fragment, but notices that its glow and shape are different from those he has seen before, and wonders if each fragment has a unique form. Determined not to remain in this eerie place for even a second longer, he steps forward to take the fragment and leave. As his hand approaches the Stella fragment, it reacts violently, pulsing with a multicolored aura. The fragment's energy swirls, creating a vortex of bright, chaotic colors. To his surprise, the colorful energy seems to be absorbed into his own body against his will. Kei panics, wondering if his absorption ability has activated on its own again. The surge of energy stops as quickly as it began. Kei tries to calm himself, thinking that nothing will happen since it only lasted an instant. At that exact moment, the oppressive darkness of the black space begins to crack and fade around him. The black space disappears completely, revealing once more the rocky environment of the ruins. With the fragment in hand, Kei murmurs that the black land never ceases to surprise him. With the black space gone, Hyam and Eli Cyan regain their color and strength. They are surprised to see Kei holding the fragment and he asks if they feel better. Hyam, astonished, asks how K could be fine in that darkness, to which K replies that he has no idea. But K quickly changes the subject. He proudly shows them the shining object in his hand and announces, more importantly, look at this. We found it. It's the Stella fragment. Hyam acknowledges that it is the object Chief Red mentioned, but is surprised by how small it is. Ellie Cyan, on the other hand, is mesmerized by the incredible variety of colors and wonders what that thing really is. Still worried, Hyam asks K if his body truly was not affected at all. As Nero floats closer to the fragment, K confirms with a smile that he feels perfectly fine. In a shocking twist, Nero opens his mouth unnaturally wide, revealing small fangs, and lunges at the Stella fragment in K's hand. Before everyone's stunned eyes, Nero swallows the fragment in a single bite. K, Hyam, and Ellie Cyan freeze completely, staring at K's empty hand where, just a second ago, the precious artifact had been. K, his face filled with panic and disbelief, shouts at his companion, while Hyam and Ellie Cyan share the same shocked expression. Nero? What are you doing? Amid the darkness, Hyam desperately shouts at a small creature of light named Nero, who appears to be about to eat something he should not. K and another companion watch the scene with concern. Hyam, beside himself, tries to force Nero to spit out what he swallowed, while K, equally furious, yells at the little creature for his recklessness. The tension rises when one of the group members shouts that they went through hell to get here, just as an ominous crack appears in the ground, foretelling disaster. Suddenly, the entire place begins to tremble and violently collapse. The group, illuminated at the center of the chaos, is frozen in shock. Panic overtakes them. Facing the imminent collapse, K, Hyam, and their companion have no choice but to start running for their lives. In a mad dash, they sprint toward an exit as the ceiling and walls crumble around them, a desperate race to escape the collapsing structure. The scene shifts to another location, where a different exploration team advances cautiously through a dark cavern, dominated by the shadow of a colossal dragon skeleton. A close-up reveals deep claw or sword marks carving massive grooves into the stone floor. One of the explorers stops and, with a sigh of relief mixed with irritation, curses under his breath. Arantia, the team leader with her distinctive orange hair, appears. With a serious expression, she remarks that she had wondered what they would be facing, referring to it as a high-risk entity. Arantia's expression hardens as she recognizes the marks on the ground. Her companion confirms her suspicion. The battle-obsessed lunatic has appeared again. The narration transports us to a scene of chaos, showing a lone figure in the middle of a battlefield littered with bodies. He is known as the humanoid creature, the Sword Demon, and is connected to the witch's Black Hand. The Sword Demon, a being with white hair and a dark mask, appears on the scene. Faced with this threat, the order is given that the investigation is over and everyone must prepare to withdraw. One team member protests, saying they are almost at their destination. But Arantia remains firm, explaining that they have already achieved the minimum objectives and she will not take further risks. Arantia adds that the main goal was for the trainees to acclimate to the Dark Lands, and that is enough. Her gaze is resolute and allows no argument. At that very moment, a massive and violent explosion of red energy lights up the horizon, shocking Arantia and her team. One of the members wonders if that distinctive red color could belong to the red team leader. Arantia, her face tense, realizes the terrible implication. If the old man is fighting personally, then the Sword Demon must be there. In the distance, a violent clash of energies erupts, one black and one red, confirming that a fierce battle is taking place. Arantia's eyes widen, reflecting shock and the gravity of the situation unfolding far away. Suddenly, a massive streak of energy, a stray attack from the main battle, heads straight toward the group. Someone desperately shouts for them to dodge. Without hesitating for a second, Arantia reacts. She plants her feet firmly on the ground and materializes her massive war hammer, which glows with an intense orange light. With an expression of fury and focus, Arantia swings her hammer, ready to intercept the devastating attack and protect her team. With incredible force, Arantia's hammer collides with the attack, unleashing a massive explosion of orange energy that completely shields her companions. After neutralizing the threat, with the glow of her power still vibrating in the air, Arantia turns to her team and firmly declares that the expedition is over. Hammer in hand and the battlefield burning behind her, Arantia issues a clear and forceful order to her team: everyone, return to the outpost. One of her subordinates, the blue-haired youth, accepts the order and offers to lead the others. Meanwhile, Arantia informs him that she will join the red team leader. The subordinate asks her to be careful, addressing her as team leader Camellia. In the background, the battle continues with another streak of destructive power slamming into the ground. The red team leader's energy erupts with incredible force, shattering the earth in an explosion that sends rocks and dust flying everywhere. Amid the chaos, the red team leader, shrouded in a crimson aura, charges forward, clashing his sword against the sword demon in a storm of strikes. The sword demon, with terrifying strength, blocks the red leader's blade with his own dark sword, displaying astonishing resilience. With his glowing eye and an expression of pure intensity, the sword demon prepares to strike back, refusing to yield an inch. The sword demon unleashes a brutal counterattack, a barrage of dark energy slashes that surge toward the red team leader. The red leader crosses his sword to block, but the impact is so powerful that it forms a cross of dark energy that slams into him directly. The force of the blow disarms the red team leader, sending his sword flying through the air as he is hurled backward. The sword demon advances, ready to deliver the finishing blow, while the red leader, disarmed, faces him with a defiant glare. In an incredible move, the red team leader, his eyes blazing intensely, stops the sword demon's cold blade with his bare hand. The sword demon's expression changes, showing a hint of surprise or perhaps admiration at his opponent's audacity and power. Seizing the opening, the red team leader releases a gigantic pillar of fire and crimson energy at point-blank range. The explosion is so massive that it sends the sword demon flying through the air, completely engulfed in flames. However, the sword demon demonstrates incredible resilience by stabilizing himself in midair, seemingly unharmed by the powerful attack. At that moment, Arancha enters the scene, congratulating the red leader on the distraction. She envelopes herself in an aura of power and prepares her own massive attack, challenging the sword demon. With a fierce smile and eyes blazing with power, Arancha shouts at the sword demon to try to dodge her next blow, if he can. Arancha descends with overwhelming fury, smashing her hammer into the ground and pulverizing the earth at the point of impact. Despite the hammer's incredible force, the sword demon manages to block the blow with his sword, sinking into a crater from the impact but not breaking. After the attack, Arancha runs across the devastated landscape she created, heading toward where the red team leader stands. The red team leader greets her with a knowing smile, calmly commenting, "You're late." Arancha joins him, visibly annoyed. The red leader jokes that he almost died, to which she replies sharply, "Don't say nonsense." The red team leader admits that although he landed a solid hit, it was not enough. In the distance, among the rubble, the silhouette of the sword demon begins to rise, revealing that the battle is far from over. The sword demon stands fully upright, now revealing two swords on his back. His gaze, fixed on the two leaders, is more menacing than ever, making it clear he is ready for the next assault. The red team leader, with unshakable confidence, tells Arancha not to worry. He claims that if they use her color, dealing with that pest will be a piece of cake, and warns her not to even think about slacking off. Arancha replies sarcastically that it is lucky she arrived before the real fight, because no one, neither her nor any other colorist, wants to see him fight seriously. Both prepare to face the sword demon. Complaining about the red leader's scolding, Arancha activates her power. A circle of bright orange energy forms at her feet as she readies herself for battle. With her hammer in hand and surrounded by her aura, she declares with determination, "Let's break another of the witch's black hands." The sword demon watches them silently for a moment, his face impassive. Suddenly, his figure vanishes into the air. The red leader's face tightens with rage as the sword demon simply disappears. He realizes the deception and curses, wondering why it had to be at that exact moment. Meanwhile, K's group, unaware of everything, struggles to escape the collapsing tunnel. The sword demon materializes in the distance, moving at incredible speed straight toward them. With a final effort, a dirty, scratched hand clutches the edge. Someone from K's group manages to climb out, exclaiming with relief that they finally made it. K, Hyam, and their companion lie exhausted on the ground. They have escaped. With a sigh, K admits it is the first time he has been glad to see the dark lands. Pale-faced and with the trauma still fresh, K murmurs to himself that he never wants to go back in there again. Out of nowhere, the sword demon appears right behind K's group as they are still catching their breath. The creature seems confused, as if it did not expect to find them there. Back with the leaders, Arancha and the red team leader realize that the demon has disappeared. The red leader, furious, curses as he realizes the demon's true target was the other group. Desperate, the red team leader shouts into the distance, hoping they can hear him, "Get away." But it is too late. The sword demon approaches K's group and orders them in a sinister voice not to resist. The demon's figure materializes before them like an apparition, completely catching them off guard and leaving them with no escape. The sword demon pulls a strange object from his sleeve, something like a dropper or syringe, preparing to use it. A close-up reveals the dropper containing a bright blue liquid. Its purpose is a mystery, but its intent is clearly hostile. In an instant, the demon lunges at Hyam, trying to drive the dropper into his back. Hyam and his companion react, attempting to block the attack with their weapons. Their efforts are futile. The sword demon deflects their attacks with insulting ease, demonstrating his overwhelming superiority. Hayam and his companion watch in horror as their weapons fail to leave even a scratch. The sword demon is surprised to see that his special dropper has shattered on impact. Enraged, the demon raises his sword, ready to finish Hayam off. The green-haired youth closes his eyes, thinking he is about to die. The sound of a blade cutting through the air is heard, a flash of light in the darkness. To everyone's shock, Kay has stepped in, blocking the demon's sword with his own arm, now covered in a strange black ink. Kay's face is a mask of rage and superhuman effort, teeth clenched as his hidden power finally erupts. The sword demon watches in shock as Kay, on his knees, stops the attack. Hayam and the blue-haired girl cannot believe what they are seeing and shout Kay's name. The shockwave from the collision between the sword and Kay's arm is so strong that it sends Hayam flying through the air, completely helpless. The blue-haired companion is also knocked down by the tremendous force unleashed in the clash, unable to stay on her feet. Seeing his attack blocked, the sword demon instantly changes tactics. He releases Kay and grabs the blue-haired girl, using her as a hostage with his sword at her neck. At that moment, the red team leader and Arantia arrive on the scene, only to be confronted with the dire situation. A deep, resonant voice, Kay's transformed voice, commands, "Stop." The sword demon, holding his hostage, demands that Kay open a path for him and that they not follow. Then he makes his final demand, "And the key, where is it? Give it to me." The red team leader's eyes burn with fury upon hearing the demon's threat, "If you don't listen, I will kill them." The strain of blocking the attack and unleashing his power is too much. Kay collapses to the ground, unconscious, as the small creature Nero hovers anxiously over him. Seeing Kay down and his companion in danger, the red team leader's rage explodes. In a whisper filled with hatred, he calls the sword demon a bastard. From Kay's perspective on the ground, the scene is a tense standoff. The demon with his hostage on one side, and the two leaders rendered powerless on the other. A deathly silence fills the air. Despite being unconscious, Kay's hand trembles on the ground, a sign that his will to fight has not been extinguished. The sword demon loses patience. He presses the edge of his blade against the hostage's neck and shouts at them to decide quickly. She can only let out a cry of pain and fear. Arantia, frustrated and furious, shouts, "You damn bastard." The red leader, restraining his anger, asks what he is talking about and what it is he wants them to hand over. Suddenly, the sword demon senses a presence behind him. He turns and sees a dark silhouette rising from the ground. It is Kay, but different. The demon whispers his name, confused. The demon's eye widens in disbelief and shock as he witnesses Kay's complete transformation. Kay's figure is now a completely black silhouette, wrapped in tendrils of dark ink. The demon, stunned by this forbidden power, asks, "What? Who are you?" The chapter ends with an imposing image, Kay, standing and fully possessed by the power of the black ink, facing the sword demon in a silence heavy with tension.